I look away, not wanting to meet her gaze. A small sense of satisfaction worms its way through me. Karma, I whisper, but immediately it's chased away by guilt. I want to confess, but then she's raising her hand and telling Mr. Clow, and there's no way I can give it back to her now. That would mean admitting I took it, and I'm not about to do that and get on Mr. Clow's bad side. Mateo gives me the stink eye. I slump in my seat. Getting even did not feel so great. You may turn it in late, Mrs. Ramirez, Mr. Clow says. I have no choice but to deduct a letter grade for every day it's late, though, so try to get it back to me as soon as possible. I venture a peep at Cammy. Her face is blotchy, and she hangs her head. Then she turns, and our eyes meet. She frowns. I quickly look away, my mind blaring a warning. She knows. And I have incriminating homework in my book bag. My heart races. All she has to do is tell Mr. Clow, and he'll find out the truth. I wait for an eternity as our teacher finishes collecting our homework, and he begins his lesson on land formations. But Cammy doesn't tell me. I'm relieved and focused, and I can't focus throughout the rest of class. When the bell rings, I dart out, wanting to put as much distance as possible between myself and Cammy and Mr. Clow. After school, I head for the soccer field to watch the boys' tryouts. I wave at Mateo as he runs out from the locker rooms with the others. Mateo waves back. He didn't bring up the missing homework in sixth period, and neither did Cammy, but I know at some point my BFF, the real one, is going to give me an earful. Out here, though, with the sun warming my skin...
I didn't already read this.
No. And the scent of fresh grass tickling my nose, I feel my shoulders relax, and I lean into that. Desperate times call for desperate measures. Hopefully Cammy will learn that it's not cool to steal people's stuff, and we can put that behind us. I, for one, am ready to move on. The boys' coach calls them over, and I study the group. I recognize some from the class, like Diego and Jan Angel. Mateo is one of the shorter ones, and I find myself watching him as he stretches. It's strange not to be in the field with him. As if feeling my gaze on him, he glances over. I quickly give a thumbs up to cover my staring. Stop being weird, I tell myself. On the other side of the field, Cammy and Melissa huddle together, shooting laser beams my way with their eyes. I get the sinking feeling that something is going to happen. And if it weren't for Mateo, I'd just leave. But I'm not going to desert my real best friend. Besides, Aubrey's not here anymore anyway, so I'm stuck. As Mateo and the other boys run laps, I turn away from Cammy and Melissa and think about my own team. Everyone's right. I may not get playing time, not yet, but at least I'm still part of the team in some way, and I'll have a chance to show everyone that my skills are more than what they saw during tryouts. Before long, someone will miss a game, and I'll move up to the A-list. Somehow, Cammy, Melissa, and I have to make it work if we're going to be on this team together. But that feels as hard as moving a mountain. Last night over dinner, I told my parents about the results, and Mommy promised she'd get me a new pair of cleats. I also asked her for a new lock, one that Cammy will not have the combination for. Poppy, to my relief, seemed okay with the results. I suppose making alternate was better than not making a team at all. Though, of course, it isn't as good as being on the A-list. I will find a way to prove my worth. Mateo's hair flops everywhere as he runs through the drills, killing it. I might add, his cheeks peak from the exertion. Diego's good, too. The two end up on the same side for the scrimmages, and the tension from our last game at the park is gone. They play well together. I'm so focused on the players, I don't see Cammy until she's almost in front of me. Melissa is gone. What do you want? I say, scowling. She jabs a finger at me. I know you took my homework. I cross my arms. I don't know what you're talking about. If anything, I know you took my cleats. Give them back. Her face flushes. I didn't take your cleats. I'm not an idiot, Cammy. I snap. I heard you and Melissa talking in the bathroom. Understanding dawns, and she shakes her head. Whatever you think you heard, it's wrong. I didn't take them. Whatever. Go back to your new best friend. Cammy bites her lip. I need my homework back. I can't fail the class. Yeah, well, I need my cleats back. I hesitate. Besides, one homework isn't going to make you fail.
Do you think Cammy actually stole it?
I don't know. I think Melissa might have. I don't have them, she says. I shrug. Or maybe she'll find them in Aubrey's car or something. She says, fine. You want to play this little game? Watch your back, Lucy Zapata. No one messes with my academics. Cammy stomps away, and I glare after her. If she thinks she can intimidate me, she's got another thing coming. I'm not proud I took her homework, but she started it. If she didn't like it, she shouldn't have taken my cleats. Still, I can't shake the feeling that a storm is brewing.
Can you come to my school tomorrow?
For what?
Because at 1, Addison is going to be Student of the Month, and I want you to see her.
As long as the weather is nice enough for me to walk in it, I will. If it's not raining, I'll walk to the school.
Okay. And then you can walk me home after.
Okie dokie.
Oh, yeah. Period.
The assembly's at 1?
Yeah, but I want you to be there at like 12:45.
We'll see. Love you.
Love you, Mom.
Love you too. Good night, baby. I love you. Legacy. Oh.
Mom, what can I get for Christmas? Huh?
I don't know.
What if I ask for a phone?
I don't know.
Or what if I ask for a bunch of clothes?
If you want a phone for Christmas, we might get you one where you can text and call, but no internet on it. That way,
internet, like to take to school kind of internet. So I can call you from school, but like no social media on it.
No, I mean like no social media. It'll have where you can call, like you can take it to school and call me. It just won't have like TikTok, Snapchat.
And me? What if I can only have TikTok and no other social media?
No.
Like just TikTok, like not like Snapchat, Instagram, nothing like that, just TikTok.
No, like no social media.
What if Dad says it's okay? What if you talk to him and he says just TikTok?
I don't know. There's not really a reason to have TikTok. If you have a way to talk to your friends,
Mommy.
like this, like you using my phone to talk to you, I don't care. But I don't like you getting on TikTok on my phone.
What if Dad says it's okay for you just TikTok on my phone?
I don't know. But all of my Q-tips are gone.
I was looking for Q-tips too and I couldn't find it. I don't have Q-tips. Maisie, you should really wear those Nike sweatpants.
Alright, y'all should really go to bed.
You should really have me too one.
I don't know. Go to bed.
But Lexi's freaking business.
Legacy's much older than you, yes.
She's 13.
Exactly.
Exactly, what's that bad?
You're 10.
So? Mama, I want to be able to call you. Okay. What if I ask for clothes though?
I don't know, babe.
What I asked for was a phone and clothes.
Yeah, I know.
I want pro clubs, Mom. You've been telling me for like 2
We'll
years.
have to take you to go get them. I'm not going to buy them and not know what size.
A medium.
Or if you like them. Not all pro clubs are the exact same.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
Yes, they are. They're just different sizes.
Okay.
I want a phone too. Easy, bro, go. No, you go.
Maisie,
What?
me and Legacy were having a conversation. Go on.
I don't want a Gap hoodie.
Okay.
But shouldn't she be asleep or laying down? Just like I have to?
Yeah, but mind your business.
I am. But should I get like the puffy videos?
I don't know, baby. We'll see.
Exactly. From Tilly's or from Zooey's.
We'll see.
How old will I be until I can have actual social media?
I'm not sure.
My friends have like iPhones and stuff.
I don't care what your friends have.
Why not? Are they good
Your
for-
friends also.
Not friends, but we're like not mad
Cordial.
at each other.
Okay. I don't know. After that group, that Snapchat,
What's that?
the jump chat.
What? With Naya?
Yeah.
If you give me a phone, what kind of phone are you getting?
Mimi's old flip phone.
What?
Go to bed, Legacy. This.
Can I ride the bus home to Abby's and stay the night there?
I don't care. You just shut your door, sis.
What?
Shut your door.
Oh my god.
Hey, Steph. Legacy. Legacy. I swear to God, y'all. Legacy. Quit bouncing that ball in my house. Legacy. Okay, Legacy. She thinks it's funny. Quit doing that in the house. It's bedtime. It's not supposed to be fun. She said it's so boring, girl. You're supposed to be laying down. Who else has teenage children? All right. Do you want to listen to court or CPS cases or Bree? How old's yours, babe? Do you want to listen to true crime, court, or CPS cases? Oh, I need to take my medicine. Hi, Deb. 8, 4, and 2. Girl, I bet they fight like cats and dogs. 8 and 4. I bet they fight like cats and dogs. My 10 and 13-year-old, they fight the worst. Actually, maybe my 7 and 10-year-old. I don't know. That 3 to 4 year age gap right there, man, they fight. It's where they're close enough to be like, y'all go play with each other. Like, you two go play. But they're so far apart in their little minds, like, no, she's 4 years younger than me, like she's a baby, when they don't realize how close they actually are. Go ahead, but your dad's in there with her.
Go back. Yes or no?
Turn that TV down.
No, you're walking in. Oh, no, not in there. Here, come here. No.
Thanos, hush. Do you want to listen to true crime or court?
But.
Afternoon. This is the matter of SZ, TZ, and AZ. Case numbers 25-513-75 and A. We have the mother, Ms. Zagumny. We have her attorney, Mr. Van Sluten. We have assistant prosecuting attorney, Laura Clifton. We have Father Trenton Zagumny and his attorney, Stacy Van Dyken. We have the attorney for the children, Jessica Lowry, various agency workers, and foster parents.
Okay, I'll give it to you in the morning.
We are here for an adjudication today, and it's my understanding that a plea agreement has been reached. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. Yes, it is.
Yes, Your Honor. All right.
I'll
And
take
would
it out
you
of his
place that
wallet.
agreement on the record?
Yes. The mother will be
I can take your
admitting
dad's wallet
paragraphs
anytime I
A
want.
through E and A,
The fuck?
as well as paragraph H.
So?
The remainder of that petition will be deleted as to her. And
I dare you to go tell your dad, hey, Dad, I don't think Mom should be getting in your wallet. Your dad would give you the biggest ass chewing of your life. I dare you to go tell him that.
Why are you getting his wallet?
Because I can. Go tell your dad, hey, Dad, I don't think Mom should be allowed to get in your wallet.
He makes the money though.
I don't care if he makes the money. Go tell your dad that.
Oh.
What? No.
Yes, he does.
I didn't. That's not what I
Father,
heard.
Mr. Trenton Zagumny will be
I know.
admitting to paragraph C as well as G as in good.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Van Sluten?
That's accurate, Your Honor.
Ms. Van Dyken?
It is accurate, Your Honor.
All right. And are the parties willing to waive the initial reading of the entire petition?
Yes.
Where'd the little pink mirror go?
Thank you. And Ms. Zagomny, would you unmute, please? And Mr. Zagomny, would you also unmute? Would you raise your right hand?
Where'd the little pink mirror go?
State your name for the record and spell it.
You're the one that was over here.
Ms. Zagomny.
Tamara Zagomny, Tamara Zagomny, Zagummy.
All right, and put your hand back up, please. And do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Zagomny, would you raise your right hand? Would you state your name and spell it for the record?
Trenton Zagumny, Trintan, Zagumny, Zagumny.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony that you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. And to your knowledge, are any of these children eligible for membership in a Native American band or tribe?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Zagumny?
No.
Okay, you can stay unmuted for a few minutes because I'm going to be asking you questions. Okay?
Okay. Yep.
Thank you. All right. And I did not ask Ms. Lowry, do you believe that the proposed plea is in the best interest of your clients?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. All right, and Ms. Zagomny, do you understand the petition?
Yes.
Or just still the lamp.
And Mr. Zagomny, same question. Do you understand the petition? Okay.
Legacy.
No, she's
You'll be
amazing.
giving up
Oh.
if you in fact
What?
enter plea today to the allegations
She's amazing.
in this petition.
She said like
First
I
is
heard
the
that.
right
She said,
to a trial
no,
by
I
a
heard
judge
her.
or
She
jury.
didn't say that.
The next
said
is the right
amazing.
to
She said
require that the
amazing.
prosecutor
legacy.
prove the
She said
allegations
amazing.
by a preponderance or a majority of the evidence.
Legacy.
The next is the right to question prosecutors' witnesses in court in person under oath. The right to have the court order witnesses that you would be helpful to your side of the case come to court in person to testify. Do you have any questions
Getting the
about
lamp.
these rights, Ms. Zagomny?
No.
Mr. Zagomny?
No.
And ma'am, do you understand the rights that you'll be losing or giving up if you present your plea today?
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
Sir?
I got.
Yes.
Okay. There are a number of consequences that may flow from your plea today. The first is that your children may be made temporary wards of the court. This means that the court would have broad discretion regarding placement, which can be in foster care with a relative or in a suitable institution.
What?
You'll be required to comply with a treatment plan to show that you are able to provide it, and it certainly will not happen today. But I am required to tell you about all the possible future consequences of your plea. If you can't show that you are able to provide a safe and appropriate home for your children within a reasonable amount of time, given the circumstances in your progress, there may be a future request to terminate your parental rights, and your plea today may be used as evidence in that proceeding. If your rights are ultimately terminated in the future, you will have no input as to your children's medical treatment, education, discipline, or residence. You'll also have no right to parenting time with your children and no right to inherit from them or receive their earnings. If you have a child support obligation, it will continue until a court of competent jurisdiction modifies or terminates it, an order of adoption is entered, or the child is emancipated by operation of law. Ma'am, do you understand all of these possible future consequences?
Yes.
Sir?
Yes.
Right? Do you have any questions about the consequences, possible consequences of today's plea if you admit the allegations in the petition? Ma'am?
No.
Sir?
No.
Okay. Ms. Zagomny, have you reviewed the petition and plea agreement with your attorney?
Yes.
Do you need to speak with him again before we proceed?
No.
Mr. Zagomny, have you reviewed the petition and the plea agreement with your attorney?
Yes.
Do you need to speak with her again before we go any further?
No.
Okay. All right, I'm going to go through the petition paragraph by paragraph, and I'm going to ask you first, Ms. Zagumny, whether you admit or deny or plead no contest or upon information belief to each of the paragraphs. And then I will ask you, Mr. Zagumny, if the paragraph applies to you as well. All right, paragraph A reads, Ms. Tamara Zagumny is the biological mother of S.Z., T.Z. Jr., and A.Z. Do you admit or deny?
Admit.
Mr. Zagumny?
Admit.
Okay. Paragraph B reads, Ms. Tamara Zagumny has named Mr. Trenton Zagumny as the putative father of Sarah Zagumny. However, the legal father of the child is unknown. The unknown father has done nothing to rectify the conditions that exist in the home which caused this case to come before the court. Ms. Zagumny?
Admit.
Paragraph C, Mr. Trenton Zagumny is the legal father of Trenton Zagumny Jr. and AZ through marriage, file number 2020 121-000-3535. Ma'am?
Admit.
Sir?
Admit.
Paragraph D reads, on August 19th, 2025, Children's Protective Services received allegations of physical injury of S.Z., T.Z. Jr., and A.Z. by Ms. Tamara Zagumny. A preponderance of the evidence was found for physical neglect. Ms. Zagumny?
Admit.
Paragraph E reads, on August 20th, 2025, contact was made with Ms. Tamara Zagumny. Ms. Zagumny informed Children's Protective Services that she is no longer able to care for the children due to experiencing homelessness and food insecurity. She requested Children's Protective Services take custody of the children immediately. Ms. Zagumny was provided with food assistance. Ma'am?
Admit.
Paragraph F was deleted. Paragraph G reads, on August 20th, 2025 and August 21st, 2025, contact was made with Mr. Trenton Zagumny Sr. Mr. Zagumny explained that due to being unemployed and living with his father, he would be unable and unwilling to provide care and custody of SZ, TZ Jr., and AZ. Mr. Zagumny? Say it again.
Yes.
You're admitting? Okay,
Yes.
thank you. All right. Paragraph I reads, on August 20th, 2025, Ms. Tamara Zagumny completed an oral drug screen. Ms. Zagumny tested positive for THC, cocaine, and BZE. On August 22nd, 2025, Mr. Trenton Zagumny completed an oral drug screen. Mr. Trenton Zagumny was positive for THC, cocaine, and denzoylgionine, spelled DENZOYLEGONINE. Ms. Zagumny?
Admit.
Mr. Zagumny?
Admit.
Paragraph I was stricken in its entirety, as well as paragraph J. Mr. Zagumny, has anyone made any promises to you or threatened you in any way in order to encourage you to admit the allegations in these petitions?
No.
Are you admitting these allegations of your own free will?
Yes.
Ms. Zagumny, has anyone promised you anything or threatened you in any way in order to encourage you to admit the allegations of this petition?
No.
And are you admitting these allegations of your own free will?
Yes.
Has anyone told you that the court would go easier on you if you admitted these allegations?
No.
Mr. Zagumny, same question.
Hello, we did have such a good day.
I am satisfied that there's a factual basis to accept
I have a surprise
the plea
Friday.
of both of these parents. I'm satisfied that they have both been fully advised of their rights and are freely, understandingly, and voluntarily entering into these pleas regarding the allegations of the petition. I find further by a preponderance of the evidence that one or more of the statutory grounds alleged in the petition are true, and that Mr. and Mrs. Zagumny are respondents in this matter. Appellate review is available to challenge any errors in the adjudicatory process, which may be challenged in an appeal from the initial order of disposition of following adjudication. If you're indigent, you are entitled to the appointment of an attorney to represent you on any appeal as of right and to the preparation of relevant transcripts. You may be barred from challenging the assumption of jurisdiction or the removal of your children from your care and custody in an appeal from the order terminating parental rights if you do not timely file an appeal under MCR 7.204 or a delayed appeal under MCR 3.993C. At any time while the court retains jurisdiction over your child, you may challenge the continuing exercise of that jurisdiction by filing a motion for rehearing pursuant to MCL 712A.21 or by filing an application for leave to appeal with the Michigan Court of Appeals. And Ms. Clifton, would you and your...
They were counting down and then flying. I don't hear them now.
Adjudicative wish to be excused at this time.
I would, Your Honor. Did you make findings about the unknown father?
Oh, you're right. We need to do that. No, I did not.
Okay. I would just offer, in terms of proofs of the unknown father, the mother's admission of 2 paragraphs. B as in boy.
Right, and the court will find, based on that admission, that allegation in the petition has been proven.
Thank you.
She loves
Thank
Dada.
Myself and
Hi,
Miss Hurst will exit. Thank you.
Right, thank you.
I
And Ms.
messaged
Laurie,
you,
are you
Jen.
prepared to go on to disposition at this time?
I'm not talking to you,
Yes.
baby.
I would call Kate Pogue.
Hey, would you raise your right hand? Would you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Yes, my name is Kate, K-A-T-E. My last name is Pogue, P-O-G-U-E.
Do you swear or affirm that...
Look within a true crime. Authentically Jen. I was talking to you, babe.
Like any great 2018 few days, there is still no sign of that missing woman.
Hey, True Crime Besties. Welcome back to an all-new episode of Serialously. On the evening of July 18th, 2018, 20-year-old Molly Tibbetts laced up her running shoes and she set out for a jog in her hometown of Brooklyn, Iowa. Now, this was nothing unusual. It was part of her daily routine, something that she did almost every night. But this time, Molly never came home. Now, what started as a local missing persons report quickly turned into this national media storm. A college student just gone without a trace in this very quiet, very tight-knit community. This investigation would lead to a shocking arrest, an emotional courtroom battle, and a case that still raises very unsettling questions. Because even with a conviction, many people are still asking, what really happened to Molly Tibbetts? Hey, True Crime BFF, it's me, Annie Elise, and we are back with an all-new episode of Serialously. Now, we have got a lot to unpack today. This is one of the crazier episodes that we've ever covered, with a twist at the end that not even I saw coming. So we are going to jump right in. Now, before we get started, I want to give you a quick reminder. Today is the very last day that you can order merch from our fall merch shop. We are officially closing it today at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so we won't have merch again until probably the spring, maybe the summer. Now is the time to get those orders in, whether it's something for yourself, a gift for somebody for the holidays, whatever it may be. We have sweatshirts, embroidery, stickers, all sorts of things. So you can see all of that at AnnieElise.com, but remember, today is the last day. Molly Tibbetts was born on May 8th, 1998 in San Francisco, California. Her parents were Rob and Laura, and she was the middle child, just sandwiched right between her older brother Jake and her younger brother Scott. Now, when Molly was in second grade, for whatever reason, her parents ended up separating. It just wasn't a good fit anymore. They decided co-parenting would be a better situation, so they separated. And that's when her mom Laura decided to move the kids away from the busy streets of San Francisco and move them back to Iowa, a place where she had deep roots, where she grew up herself. So they settled in Brooklyn, Iowa, a tiny farming town about an hour east of Des Moines. Now, it was the kind of place where everybody really knew each other, and I know that that sounds cliche, but it really was true. Neighbors looked out for one another. Most people didn't even bother locking their doors. It was just classic small-town Midwest. It didn't take long for Molly to find her place there either. Even as a little kid, Molly was just outgoing, friendly, and kind. For example, if anyone was ever sitting alone, Molly would just go, sit next to them, no questions asked. If somebody needed cheering up, she would be the first one to crack a joke or flash a big smile, just trying to make them feel comfortable. She made people feel important. She made people feel like they mattered.
Can I hear it?
Everyone has their own talent, whether it's a sport you're good at, you're good at dance, or if you're a great writer, if you're just a good person. Those are the best things you can be good at.
Now, fast forward to high school, and Molly was booked and busy. She sang in the choir, she ran cross country, she spent summers working at a children's literacy camp. Just working with kids really came natural to her. She had this patient way about her that also made the children feel safe with her. Now, faith was also a very important part of Molly's upbringing as well. Her family was very deeply involved in their church, and Molly was too. She was confirmed in the Catholic Church in 2015. She carried her faith as this source of personal strength, just with her everywhere that she went. Now, even after her parents were separated, Molly's bond with her father, Rob, stayed very strong. And they were alike in so many ways. Both passionate about reading, passionate about writing, public speaking, and Rob described Molly not just as his daughter, but as his best friend. But of course, Molly wasn't perfect, and her family never tried to pretend that she was. She could be moody, she could be messy, she was a notoriously bad driver, and she kind of had a little bit of a stubborn streak. But to the people who loved her, that's really just what made her her, almost made her more endearing because she had these flaws and faults. And here's a really sweet clip of her mom talking about her personality.
She was both goofy, but could be very serious. She was, she could have a temper. She was stubborn. She wasn't the tidiest person.
Hey, Candace Queen.
Just kind of a pack rat. But she was artistic and curious. So, yeah, she was just a young woman. She was a young woman.
Now, as for Molly's friends, they all said that she was the mother of the group. And I'm sure in your friend group growing up, you probably had one of those too. But Molly was the one who was always checking in on the friends, making sure everyone was okay. And she just had kind of this nurturing way about her.
Your daughter needs $5 for an ID for school.
Yes.
I told her, I said I would get it. I'll give it to you in the morning.
I got it.
She said, how? I said, I'll go in your dad's wallet and I'll... You missed the point.
Soft politeness, but welcomeness and openness, and so much so that she dreamed of working with people who had survived abuse. She wanted to help them heal, help them rebuild their lives. She was just so passionate about being a good person and trying to uplift others. And because of that, mental health was a cause that was very close to Molly's heart. On her Twitter account, she often talked about the importance of talking openly about your struggles. In one example, she once had posted, quote, "We need to make people feel more comfortable talking about mental health. Be kind and understanding with everyone, including yourself." So needless to say, everyone loved Molly, right? But for one person, Molly was just unforgettable from the very beginning. In 2015, Dalton Jack was a senior on the football team at Molly's school, and that's when he met her for the very first time after one of the night games. They had seen each other around town, small school, small town, but that night was very different. She was funny, she was easy to talk to, she made him laugh, and before she left, he made sure to get her number. He was like moving in. He did not want her to be the one that got away. So they started dating soon after that, going to dinner, watching movies, or even just driving around, singing to whatever song was on the radio, just kind of that innocent young love, young fun, where you'll really have fun doing anything wherever you are. You just want to be together. When life was so simple, right? So when Dalton graduated that spring, he decided he was going to stay local. He ended up moving in with his older brother, and he started working for a nearby construction company. Meanwhile, Molly finished high school too, and she ended up graduating in 2017. Then, that fall, she packed her things and she headed off to college. She went to the University of Iowa, which was about a 45-minute drive from where she had been living, and her plan was to study psychology there. So Dalton and Molly continued to make their relationship work. Dalton's job did require him to travel, so they were used to being apart. It wasn't anything that was brand new to them. Plus, Iowa City really wasn't that far from Brooklyn. Remember, a 45-minute drive away. So they visited each other whenever they could, usually every other weekend. They also, of course, texted constantly, back and forth all the time, because remember, this was 2017. I mean, texting was like what it is today, just so common, right? And they kept up the same types of routines that they had built over the years of kind of just like growing up together, right? In their young love phase, high school sweethearts, 15 years old, now going into college. However, like any young couple, Molly and Dalton definitely had their ups and downs. Their relationship was not perfect, and they both knew it. Now, for Dalton's part, he had a bit of a temper. He was the kind of person who could just get worked up so quickly, while Molly was usually more patient with all of that. Like, it could wear on her, but she didn't just, get worked up super fast. So, regardless, something happened, and by late 2017, something between the two of them had shifted. Molly started to feel like Dalton wasn't being fully honest with her. He was acting differently, more distant. And when she brought it up, he kind of just brushed it off and told her everything was fine. There was nothing that she needed to worry about. But Molly could not shake this feeling that things weren't actually fine. Something was going on here. Call it a woman's intuition, call it just a girl kind of having a radar, I don't know, which I guess that would be the same thing now that I say it out loud, but she just knew that something was off. So eventually, after trying and failing to get a straight answer, Molly did something that she normally wouldn't have done. One night while Dalton was asleep, she decided to go through his phone. And when she did that, she came across information that confirmed her suspicions. Dalton had been cheating on her. Now for Molly, this was an absolutely devastating discovery. She and Dalton had been together for a couple of years at this point together. And to their credit, they did manage to patch things up on the surface. But if you're anything like me, and you've gone through a similar situation in a relationship, you know that even when you forgive, you don't forget, and certainly things do not go exactly back to how they were before. It's impossible, right? You can say you're going to move forward, leave it in the past, but there always will either still be maybe that under the surface resentment or trust issue, but things will never go back 100% to how they were. So regardless, by the summer of 2018, Molly and Dalton were still together. But there was still some of that tension under the surface, and Molly felt like she couldn't fully trust Dalton, not like she did in the past anyway. Then, by late July that year, Molly ended up coming home from college for the summer. And her life was pretty typical for a college student who was on break. She was working at a children's day camp, which was something she did every single summer and just absolutely loved. And she was also taking a couple summer classes, kind of just keeping up with all her usual habits and routines, you know, spending time with friends, spending time with family, texting, hanging out with Dalton whenever she could, spending her evenings out jogging through Brooklyn, and it was a really nice summer break for her. Now, meanwhile, Dalton was still working, and he was working very long hours that summer. He and his older brother Blake both worked for that construction company, the one that had them kind of traveling pretty often across the state. Now, at the time, they were in Dubuque, which is about 140 miles away from Brooklyn, and they were working on a pretty major project too. It was like some sort of like bridge repair type situation. Now, because the job was so far away from home, the brothers were staying overnight at a hotel there with their crew during the week while they were getting all of this work done. So before they left on this work trip, they had asked Molly if she'd be willing to house sit for them, take care of their dogs while they were gone, and let the dogs out, let them in, feed them, all of those things while they were going to be away for the week doing this bridge project, which she had no reason to say no, so she agreed. She had also spent time at that house several times before. She loved dogs. It was an easy way to help them out, also make a little money because they were paying her, so why not? So on Wednesday, July 18th, everything seemed normal. Molly had gone to work that morning. She had texted with Dalton all throughout the day. She had spent some time doing some homework. And that evening, just like she did on the majority of all of the other nights, she decided to go out for a run. Now, I will say, running was definitely more than just exercise for Molly. It was a part of her routine. It helped her clear her head. She had a regular route she liked to take to, just kind of winding through all of the familiar streets of the neighborhood. So around 7:30 p.m., like so many nights before, she was about to head out for her run and grabbed her phone and sent Dalton a Snapchat. Then just took off and headed out. But Dalton didn't open up the Snapchat message right away. He was busy with his crew that night, just kind of winding down after a very long day of grueling physical work. He didn't even look at his phone until 10 p.m., and that's when he finally saw Molly's message, her little Snapchat. So he responded to her after seeing it, but he didn't get a reply. And this didn't immediately raise any alarms because maybe she was asleep. It was after 10 at this point. Maybe she got caught up reading a book, watching a movie, binging a TV show, who knows? So it wasn't until the next morning that this silence from Molly started to feel a bit unusual. Nevertheless, though, Dalton went to work as usual on July 19th. But back in Brooklyn, other people were starting to worry because now Molly also did not show up to her job that morning.
That redness is coming through way too much.
Today's episode is
Hey,
sponsored
the right
by
side.
IM8. Have you been feeling off your game
You're on the
lately?
wrong side.
IM8
Why do you want me to
Daily
follow you
Ultimate
back?
Essentials makes it easier to support your body and
Maybe
your mind
you're the wrong
every day.
person.
No more juggling a
Let me
dozen
forgive
different
myself.
supplements
Let me shut up. You might not be who I'm
It
thinking.
combines the benefits of 16 supplements in one simple mix. Co-founded by David Beckham and developed with insights from experts at the Mayo Clinic and Cedars-Sinai, IM8 is designed to simplify daily wellness while delivering real results. Get this too. Each serving includes 92 nutrient-rich ingredients, vitamins, minerals, adaptogens, probiotics, postbiotics, all just 10% off your order.
Tori.
So again, that's I end up as a VIP. I got feels like stuff that should cost way more.
Hi,
and
baby.
I love that they show you how to pair certain things that looks good, feels good, and doesn't break the bank. If something had come up, she definitely would have told somebody. And another person who grew concerned was Molly's cousin Morgan. Molly not to show up for work. Even worse, she hadn't called to let anybody know that she would be out. And Molly
Legacy Burt food.
So if something had come up, she definitely would have told someone.
Why is she cooking?
I don't know. If you're coming in for the laundry, I'm waiting on it. The laundry, I'm waiting on it.
Usually through Snapchat, which is a pretty popular method for young adults to text and send pictures back and forth and talk through. And they had been using it so much that they even had a 600-day Snapchat streak, meaning they had sent each other Snapchats for 600 days straight. That shows you how active they were on the platform, right? So that morning, Morgan sent Molly a snap like she always did. But Molly
Victoria,
then, as the hours passed, the last
message me on. No.
friends, family members,
Message me on Messenger. I'm listening to Annie Elise.
phone
I'm looking for you, but I don't see you.
Snapchats not being read or responded to. Text messages just sitting on it delivered with no reply. Something did not make sense here. And yes, while it might sound
There you go.
small, it really
Aurora.
was the Snapchat streak that solidified all of this growing. I mean, 600 days is a lot, right? That is a habit that is hard to break. And at that point, it reminds me of that episode of Friends.
I found you.
Throwing the ball back and forth. If you ever watched Friends, I don't know if I'm dating myself, and they go for like days and days and they don't want to streak. It's not even you're so regularly consistent with it. It's like, you get a streak that big.
Someone took my phone charger.
Make it a point to break it, right? So here was a habit that Molly would not break unless something really bad had happened and forced her to. So Molly's family contacted Dalton, her friends, they checked the house where she was staying, they started searching all throughout the town, but they could not find her. Meanwhile, all of their calls and messages to Molly went unanswered. So that afternoon, her mom Laura contacted the police, and she officially filed a police report. Now, as soon as Rob heard that his daughter was missing, he did not hesitate. He packed a suitcase, got on the first flight out of California, and he headed straight to Iowa. And word spread fast in Brooklyn. I mean, with it being such a small town, if something happened, everybody knew about it. So the day after Molly went missing, the entire town mobilized, just volunteers searching everywhere, on back roads, cornfields, wooded areas, barns, I mean, places that hadn't seen foot traffic in years. And these places were now suddenly just filled with people looking at every single corner, turning over every single stone, calling out Molly's name, just hoping that they would discover Molly somewhere. And Molly's family didn't take a moment to sit still. They printed out hundreds of flyers and they began plastering them all over town. Then once the town was covered, they started moving outward, town to town, just putting up flyers in nearby communities, talking to store owners, talking to people who were just walking down the street, hoping that anyone could see her. And when I say everybody was like fully, frantically mobilized, I mean it. For example, at one point while Rob, Laura, and Molly's brothers were putting flyers out,
Oh, wait, no, this one's the one that's gonna die.
so fast from town to town that the police ended up pulling them over for speeding. And as Rob pulled over and was talking to the officer, Laura jumped out of the car, sprinted into a nearby store, and just started putting flyers up inside. Just trying to cover as much
What
ground
happened?
as
I
humanly.
missed so much.
Isn't her that a mutual person had heard from her. Phone calls also were going unanswered. Snapchats not being read or responded to. Text messages just sitting on it delivered with no reply. Something did not make sense here. And yes, while it might sound small, it really was the broken Snapchat streak that solidified all of this growing fear. I mean, 600 days is a lot, right? That is a habit that is hard to break. And at that point, it reminds me of that episode of Friends where they're throwing the ball back and forth. If you ever watched Friends, I don't know if I'm dating myself, and they go for like days and days because they don't want to lose the streak. It's not even just because you're so regularly consistent with it. It's like when you get a streak that big, you don't want to break it. You make it a point to not break it, right? So here was a habit that Molly would not break unless something really bad had happened and forced her to break it. So Molly's family contacted Dalton, her friends, they checked the house where she was staying, they started searching all throughout the town, but they could not find her anywhere. Meanwhile, all of their calls and messages to Molly went unanswered. So, that afternoon, her mom Laura contacted the police, and she officially filed a police report. Now, as soon as Rob heard that his daughter was missing, he did not hesitate. He packed a suitcase, got on the first flight out of California, and he headed straight to Iowa. And word spread fast in Brooklyn. I mean, with it being such a small town, if something happened, everybody knew about it. So, the day after Molly went missing, the entire town mobilized. Just volunteers searching everywhere, looking on back roads, cornfields, wooded areas, old barns. I mean, places that hadn't seen foot traffic in years. And these places were now suddenly just filled with people looking at every single corner, turning over every single stone, calling out Molly's name, just hoping that they would discover Molly somewhere. And Molly's family didn't take a moment to sit still. They printed out hundreds of flyers and they began plastering them all over town. Then once the town was covered, they started moving her. And when I say everybody was like fully, frantically mobilized, I mean it. For example, at one point, while Rob, Laura, and Molly's brothers were putting flyers out all around town, they were driving so fast from town to town that the police ended up pulling them over for speeding. And as Rob pulled over and was talking to the officer, Laura jumped out of the car, sprinted into a nearby store, and just started putting flyers up inside. Just trying to cover as much ground as humanly possible as fast as possible. Now, as she was jumping out of the car, Rob, of course, warned her, like, yo, chill, you're gonna get arrested, you need to calm down, like, you're gonna freak this officer out. But she didn't even care. Her eye was just on trying to get this information out about her daughter. Then, after the officers talked to Rob and found out what they were all doing, they let them go without any sort of ticket, without any sort of issue, just like, go, just be careful, stop speeding, good luck, and we will be on the lookout for Molly as well. And meanwhile, about 20 of Molly's friends had all split up into pairs, and they were doing the exact same thing, spreading out all across the area, putting up posters, knocking on doors. Dalton had also rushed back from his construction job the moment he heard that Molly was missing, and he started joining the search too. His dad even flew his small crop dusting plane over the area, trying to just look down and get a bird's eye view of things, hoping that maybe by chance he can spot Molly from above. But cloud cover made visibility nearly impossible, so it was a good effort, and it was a very, warm, loving effort, but unfortunately did not yield much in terms of results. So as news of Molly's disappearance spread, it didn't stay local. It exploded all across the country. News of her disappearance was now everywhere. Missing posters were pinned up from Iowa to Illinois, major news networks were picking it up, and Molly's face and story was all over the place. And her family, despite the fear and uncertainty, stayed publicly very hopeful. They went on TV, they gave interviews, they just always stayed positive that Molly would be found, that she would come home safely. Her dad also told reporters that he didn't think that she had been hurt. He didn't think that she had been taken by a stranger. In his view, this had to be some sort of misunderstanding, maybe even with somebody that she knew. And he never gave a clear reason why he believed that, but he felt very strongly that Molly had left willingly. And that whoever she was with probably didn't know how to fix the situation, fix what they had gotten themselves into, especially now with the whole country out looking for her. And in an interview with the Des Moines Register, Rob even made a direct plea to the person that he believed was with Molly. He said, end it now before it goes any further.
Rob, let's talk a little bit about one of the reasons you have come on television so frequently in the last week or so is because you feel that there is somebody out there, whether it's in Brooklyn, Iowa, or somebody who's just passing through, that saw Molly that night and knows something.
Whether they saw Molly or whether they saw something that was out of place that seems insignificant, and they're reluctant to come forward with that information because they don't want to clog up the investigation. There is no information too insignificant. Or if they're suspicious about a loved one or a friend, they're reluctant to turn into the authorities for something that they suspect. If they have nothing to hide, they have nothing to fear. And so turn that information over to the authorities and let them sort out what's right and what's wrong.
Now, despite what Molly's dad thought, Molly's mom completely had her own take on the situation. She said that she could, quote, feel Molly sitting on her shoulder all throughout the search. And she says that it was that comforting presence that really gave her the strength to keep going.
We believe that Molly is still alive, and if someone has abducted her, we are pleading with you to please release her.
Her brothers were also just as sure. They weren't saying things like, if she comes home. They were always saying, when she comes home. In their minds, Molly's disappearance was just very temporary. And I don't know if it was just optimism or if maybe it was a little bit of denial, but the family also was trying to keep things very light through all of this, maybe even a coping mechanism. And what I mean by that is, for example, they joked about how once Molly finally came back, they were going to ground her for life. They also said that they would plaster all of her missing persons posters all over her car, that they would force her to watch every single news segment about her disappearance. Kind of like, oh, when she gets back, we are going to make her life hell, that kind of thing. And in a town like Brooklyn, Iowa, people really did believe that Molly was going to walk back through the door any day now. It wasn't the kind of place where these things happen. Serious crimes like kidnapping or murder, those felt like something that belonged in movies. Not there, not in Brooklyn. Still, though, the community responded very quickly. Vigils were held, search parties were organized. Molly's family also started receiving letters and messages from all over the world. I mean, strangers just writing in to say that they were thinking of Molly, that they were praying for her safe return. They had full support from everyone. Crime Stoppers of Central Iowa also started offering a reward for any information that might lead to Molly. And at first, it was just a few $1,000s, but it did not stay that way for long. The fund started growing and donations started pouring in, growing from $30,000 to $175,000. And before long, the reward had reached more than $400,000, one of the largest rewards ever offered in Iowa at that time. Meanwhile, investigators were still treating Molly's case as either a missing person or possibly an abduction, and there were up to 40 officers assigned to the case daily. But then, about a week into the investigation, the FBI stepped in, and that is what changed everything. Volunteer search efforts stopped, and the FBI pivoted their entire approach. They weren't combing through the fields anymore, but instead they were combing through Molly's digital footprint. They wanted to go through her phone records, her social media accounts, her Fitbit, everything that they could use as some sort of digital trail. That is what they were going to start looking into. And let's talk about her Fitbit for a minute, because it tracked her runs, her steps, her heart rate, everything. And the hope was that it might hold some sort of clue, maybe a timestamp or even a location, something that would help them trace Molly's movements and find out where she went after that run on July 18th.
Come here.
And investigators were able to confirm
You can have that one. No more, okay?
make it out for her run that night. Multiple people in town also remembered seeing her on her run.
Latest on the search for missing college student Molly Tibbetts. This morning, an eyewitness said he saw
No
her
more.
before she disappeared.
No.
Is now telling his story exclusively to ABC with Johnson here. Michael, good morning to you. Authorities have been tight-lipped, revealing very little about who they informed him. We spoke to a man police who saw Molly Tibbetts on the night she vanished. After carrying a ponytail and wearing an armband for her cell phone or music account, he says he took straight to investigators. I've seen her, probably 3-4 times a week. She jogged down the street. For the first time, we are hearing from the man who believes he could be the last person to have seen Molly Tibbetts on a mysterious disappearance. In an exclusive interview with ABC News, Devin Riley says the University of Iowa student went jogging past his house about 8 p.m. July 18th. She jogged down the street, uphill, and
Hey. No more. No more.
Seen her picture on the news. Law enforcement would not confirm or comment about any potential witnesses. But Riley says he was questioned by
Hey, Lucky. What you doing, boo?
conducted a thorough search of his home. They were really in this student, I don't think, and they just didn't work it out the last 10-15 minutes.
Another person who saw her was her longtime hairdresser, and she told police that
Aurora.
she saw Molly jogging around 7:45 p.m. on July 18th. And sure enough, when the investigators pulled the data,
No more, okay? High five.
she had run her usual route between 7:30
High
and 8
five.
p.m.,
Hugs.
just like she always did.
Aww.
But there was something about the data that stood
Go
out.
get daddy.
Around 8:30 p.m., her movement suddenly stopped. Then, within minutes, her location data started showing that she was heading south.
What you been doing?
She was heading south fast at speeds of up to
You get off work at this time or something?
So it was obviously clear she was not running anymore. It looked now like she was in a car. And at 8:53 p.m., her phone just went completely dark. No more data, no more location tracking. Just gone, as if the battery died, or somebody turned it off, or maybe even destroyed it. And at that point, her phone was pinging about 15 miles south of Brooklyn. So this was a very chilling discovery. Something had clearly happened to her that night. And without much else to go on, you can imagine. The town started to do what most towns will do in a situation like this. They started to speculate. Rumors started. Some people were pointing fingers at Molly's brother, even though there was never any sort of evidence linking them.
Why are you crawling?
More than that, the town's focus quickly turned towards Dalton, Molly's boyfriend, because people remembered that he had a bit of a temper.
You like that cheese?
Some people also knew that he
Yeah,
cheated on Molly. It wasn't exactly a secret. So the idea that he might have snapped didn't really seem possible.
Okay.
And look, the investigators did take a hard look at Dalton pretty early on. He was Molly's boyfriend after all, and statistically speaking, people close to the victim are often the first to be investigated, right? But what really caught their attention was the inconsistencies in Dalton's story. In his first interview, Dalton said everything in their relationship was fine. No issues, no tension. He told the police that he had spent the evening of July 18th in his hotel room. He was on that work trip, if you remember. So he says he was in his hotel room watching the movie Rush Hour, then went to bed immediately following. But in later interviews, that version changed. He eventually admitted that he had actually been outside that night, that he was drinking beers and playing yard games with the construction crew, which I can understand a couple of variations here and there. Maybe you don't remember if it's Rush Hour 1 or the sequel. Maybe before going straight to bed you went to the ice machine or the vending machine. I can understand that. But this was a stark difference from watching a movie in the hotel room and falling asleep to being outside, drinking with your coworkers and playing yard games like Courtknee. I mean, very difficult to confuse the two or forget one of them, right? So when the investigators kind of pressed him on that, saying, okay, well, why didn't you just say all that in the first place? Why did you say you just went to bed and watched a movie? He acknowledged the inconsistency and said the reason he didn't mention it is because he didn't think that it was important. But then the more that the police talked to him, the more details started to come out. He admitted that earlier in the relationship, he had, in fact, cheated on Molly with another girl, and that it had caused a lot of tension between the two of them. But Dalton said that ever since then, the relationship had stabilized. So there was all this speculation. The investigators were questioning him, and look, between the cheating, the temper, the shifting timeline, police did have reason to be cautious, right? But even with all of those red flags, Dalton's alibi checked out. His coworkers confirmed that he did work a 12-hour shift that day, then stayed overnight, and time cards and pay stubs all matched up. And perhaps most notably, on July 19th, the day that Molly was reported missing, the following morning after her run.
Have I missed anything on the TikTok streets today?
On the job. He kept making comments throughout the day about how worried he was that he hadn't heard back from Molly. And then, ever since he found out that she was in fact missing, he was helping to try and find her, doing searches, doing flyers, all the things.
Just everybody has Molly, a person that has changed your life in such a huge way, and that's in everybody's lives. Just imagine if somebody had taken your Molly, like yourself in our shoes, you would do anything to get her back, and you would just be desperate for anything to come forward to her back.
So after verifying his alibi and finding absolutely no physical evidence tying him to Molly's disappearance, the police officially ruled Dalton out as a suspect. And once the police cleared him, they went back to the drawing board and they started canvassing the neighborhoods along with Molly's usual running route, trying to see if there was something that they missed. They knocked on doors, talked to neighbors, they asked if anybody had seen anything out of the ordinary on the night of July 18th. And sure enough, this is when they came across Logan Collins. Now, Logan lived on West Des Moines Street, which was one of the roads that Molly often ran down. And luckily, he had security cameras facing the street outside of his house, and he turned all of that footage over to the authorities. So when they were looking through this footage, it showed a jogger, believed to be Molly, running past Logan's house at 7:45 p.m. But then, just 28 seconds later, a black Chevy Malibu drives by, heading in the same direction. And that wasn't the only time that this car showed up. In total, that same vehicle was captured circling the area 6 times over the next 30 minutes. And that definitely was not normal. While a couple of other cars were seen on this footage as well, no other vehicle showed that kind of pattern. Almost like a predator circling its prey, just going around and around, just pacing it, stalking it, deciding when is the right moment to strike. So to be sure, the police investigated all of the other cars that they had seen on that footage, but completely cleared their involvement. Now, for this car didn't belong to any of the neighbors, and it was the only vehicle repeatedly passing by during that window of time. It also had some very distinctive features on it as well. Chrome mirrors, shiny rims, unique door handles, All of these things that made it much easier to identify. The license plate, however, was not visible in the footage, but the make and the model of the car was clear enough. It also had these very unique features, right? So the investigators ran vehicle registrations for every black Chevy Malibu in the area. And after narrowing down the list, one name Ruby Farms. He was 24 years old, he had a young 3-year-old daughter, and really, he wasn't on anyone's radar up until that point. There was seemingly no connection either between him and Molly. I mean, aside from the fact that his girlfriend Iris shared some mutual friends with Molly on Facebook. But nevertheless, at the beginning of August, the investigators started tailing Christian. Something wasn't right. Why was he circling Molly so many times that night? So as they started tailing him, they just continued to watch him drive that same Malibu that was seen in the footage. And on August 16th, nearly a month after Molly went missing, investigators pulled Christian over for a routine traffic stop. Christian was very calm when the police approached him, but there was an issue. He primarily spoke Spanish, and there were no qualified Spanish-speaking officers immediately available. So because of that, investigators just had to wait. Then, a few days later, when they knew that they would have a Spanish-speaking officer available, they made their move, and they officially brought Christian in for questioning. This was now on August 20th. Now, at first, Christian denied having anything to do with Molly's disappearance. However, as the hours passed, his story started to change. He eventually admitted that he had seen Molly jogging, and he started following her in his car. He said he thought that she was hot. He wanted to get a better look at her, so he started following her. He said, she was a really hot girl. I wanted to just get a better look, so I started following her a bit. Then, in a very freaking creepy-ass move, at some point he decided to pull his car over and get out of the car and just start running alongside her. As though she's gonna, look to her left and be like, oh, hey, what's your name? What are you doing jogging here? In street clothes, not workout clothes. What a freaking creep, right? But that's not even the worst of it. Let's be honest, Molly, that's when Molly realized she was being followed. So she pulled out her phone and she yelled at Christian that she was going to call 911. Christian said she started screaming at him, tried to slap him away, which is yelling, leave me alone, get the hell out of here. And he claimed that because of that, he got angry. And that is when he laughed out. It's something he told investigators that he tends to do when he gets upset. He says the next thing that he remembered was just driving. And as he looked down, he saw Molly's earbuds, or AirPods, or little headphones, right there in his lap. So according to him, that's when he had the revelation. That's when it hit him, that Molly's body was in the trunk of his car. So Christian told the police that he drove to a nearby cornfield. He took off his shirt because it was soaked in blood, according to him. And he pulled Molly out of the trunk and put her over his shoulder, carrying her into this cornfield. He said he laid her down and that as he was carrying her, it, quote, felt like someone who had just fainted, which I don't know how anybody knows what that feels like unless this has happened before, but basically describing this dead weight where he then just sets her down. So he says he just lays her down in the cornfield, covered her face with corn stalks, and then left the scene. And sure enough, the morning after the interview, on Tuesday, August 21st, Christian led the investigators to a secluded cornfield. It was about 15 minutes away from Brooklyn, Iowa. And right there, hidden beneath a blanket of corn stalks, they found Molly.
Investigators found a body in rural Iowa, and it is believed to be missing University of Iowa student Molly Tibbetts. Investigators are working right now on confirming the identity. New information will be released a little bit later on this afternoon. Tibbetts' family is not commenting this morning. The 20-year-old vanished more than a month ago when she had gone for a job. We'll get much more of this live news this afternoon.
Molly was found face up and partially clothed. She was still wearing her socks and her sports bra, but her running shorts, her underwear, and her headband were all found scattered farther into the field. Nearby, the police also recovered her Fitbit and her phone. So that same day, police officially arrested Christian and they charged him with first-degree murder. He was booked into the county jail and he was held on a $1 million cash plea bond. Now, once the police had Molly's body in Christian's interview, they took his car in for evidence, and during the second search of the vehicle, they found blood smears all over the trunk seal and the liner. The forensic test confirmed that that blood belonged to Molly. An autopsy would later reveal that Molly had been stabbed multiple times, at least up to 7 to 12 stab wounds. However, her body was so badly decomposed due to it being such a hot summer that it was hard to determine exactly how many stab wounds were there. But one of the stab wounds was deep enough to penetrate her skull. Another one was found on her hand, likely a defensive wound from trying to fight back. And despite the fact that she was found with most of her clothes off, there was no sperm found on her body or her clothing, and there was no direct physical evidence of any sexual assault taking place. And even without a murder weapon, the investigators believed they had enough to move forward with the charges against him and with the case. They had a body, a confession, DNA in the trunk, a man who, by his own admission, had followed Molly that night, got angry when she pulled out her phone and then, quote, blacked out, later then finding her dead body in his trunk, according to him. But the thing that the police were still missing was a major piece of the puzzle. They still needed a motive, and no matter how they looked at it, they couldn't seem to find one. Christian had no criminal record. He didn't even know Molly personally. There was also no evidence of a sexual assault, so the question that everyone kept asking was why? Why would someone follow a stranger on her nightly run and end her life in such a violent, senseless way if they didn't know her? If sex wasn't a motivator? If hatred wasn't a motivator? Like, why? Just for the thrill of it? A thrill kill? Now, Christian wasn't very well known in Brooklyn. He mostly kept to himself. He lived alone in a trailer on a local dairy farm, and he worked long, quiet days just on his own with the cows. He also didn't go out much, didn't cause any trouble. To most people in town, he was just another guy working in agriculture. He blended in. He never raised any sort of red flags. He had been working at this farm since 2014, and the job had been arranged through a former girlfriend who also worked there. And over the years, Christian really had built a reputation on the farm as a dependable guy. He showed up, did his job, never caused problems, and the farm manager said that there had been no noticeable change in his demeanor, even after Molly disappeared. He was calm, steady, and kept his routine like nothing had happened. And at the time of his arrest, Christian was only 24 years old. When he was 17, he crossed the border into Texas from Mexico by a raft and eventually made his way to Iowa. But he came through this very tiny, very rural town in Mexico that was home to just a few hundred people, and somehow came into the United States. So Christian had entered the country illegally, which then made people wonder how he was hired at this farm in the first place. The farm initially said that they had used E-Verify, which is the federal employment system, and that they had used that to confirm his eligibility to work. However, that wasn't true. It came out later that Christian had given them false information and was hired under a different name. Still, though, the farm stood by their statement that they were stunned about what Christian did and that they never imagined that he would ever do such a terrible thing. So Christian made his first court appearance shortly after his arrest. He didn't enter a plea, though, and the judge set his bond at $5 million, cash only. ICE also placed a detainer on him due to his undocumented status, meaning that even if somehow he posted bond, he would still remain in jail until immigration authorities can step in. So now Molly's body had been found, and the days after Molly's body was found, it just felt heavier. Even with Christian in custody, the town of Brooklyn was shaken. Molly had been missing for over a month at that point, and people had desperately held on to hope that she would come back. Yet somehow, against all odds, she was still alive. So now, when news broke that her body had been found and just discarded in a cornfield right outside of town, it just hit like a wave of grief, shock, fear, and heartbreak, everything all at once. Her family was devastated, but they were also grateful to have an answer. As much as they wanted Molly to come home, they were now no longer stuck in limbo. They didn't have to keep wondering. And in some small way, knowing what happened to her gave them the space to actually begin grieving. Still, though, Molly's death cast a long shadow. Brooklyn was a place where people didn't even lock their doors at night. They let their kids ride their bikes late into the evening. Now, people were keeping their kids indoors. They weren't trusting anything or anyone. Some also insisted that their teenagers start sharing their location on their phones at all times. Others started locking doors that had never been locked before, and people even started feeling suspicious of neighbors that they used to just casually chat with at the gas station. Things had changed in this town. Everyone was on edge. Even Molly's friends said they now felt strange doing normal things, going out, laughing, listening to music. It all felt like some sort of betrayal. Like life was somehow wrong when Molly couldn't be there to do the same. And as if the pain and the fear weren't already enough, the case quickly became politicized. News that Christian was an undocumented immigrant, it sparked a national conversation.
Christian Rivera stands charged for the murder of 20-year-old Iowa University student Molly Tibbetts. Rivera's attorney sat down for an interview with Fox's Martha McCallum tonight, where he didn't seem to care that his client is an illegal immigrant.
The United States Constitution provides if you're not a citizen, you still are entitled to the jurisdictions of the courts and entitled to equal protection under the law.
I don't think anyone said he wasn't. What people are saying is that he arrived here illegally from Mexico 4 to 7 years ago.
That's your rhetoric on it.
It's not rhetoric. That's what the immigration officials are saying. Their reports indicate he used a false name to work for an employer. They thought he was somebody else. We know that as well. These are the facts that are being dug up in the case.
But this was not the kind of conversation that Molly's family wanted. Within days, her death was now being used as this political talking point by people who had never even met her. Her name became a hashtag in various arguments about immigration reform, and people were fighting with each other. It was arguing. It was just so messy. And her family, especially her father, Rob, just continued to ask people to stop. They didn't want her legacy to be about politics, not at all. Rob said, "I'm incredibly thankful for the love and support that we've received, but I also want to be very clear. Molly would not want her death to be used to advance a political agenda that she would have disagreed with." Molly's cousin Morgan also backed him up by saying, "It feels like people stopped seeing her as a person. She was just a headline, a tool for someone else's narrative." Now in Brooklyn, people chose to remember Molly in their own way. Teal ribbons, which was the color that she loved the most, started appearing on mailboxes, fences, storefronts, just all over town. It was a very simple yet powerful gesture. The community in the elementary school that Molly had once attended also started a program called Molly's Movement, which is a kindness initiative that encouraged people to do small acts of good in her name, such as helping a friend, including someone who felt left out, saying something kind to someone. Each action was a way to keep Molly's spirit alive. But even as the community tried to grieve and move forward, there was still one massive piece of unfinished business. Why? Not long after his arrest, Christian entered a plea of not guilty to the charge of first-degree murder. And from there, the case was delayed multiple times due to COVID. The trial finally began on May 17th, 2021, and it became very clear that it was not going to be straightforward. For one, part of Christian's original confession, the one that ended up being the investigators to Molly's body, was not allowed in court. Officers hadn't really read him his Miranda rights before the initial interview, so because of that, the judge ruled that portion of the interrogation was inadmissible. However, the second half of the interview, which was recorded after proper procedures were followed, was still permitted. And in that part, Christian admitted to following Molly, blacking out, realizing that her body was in his trunk. But by the time the trial started, Christian had recanted that version of events entirely. His defense team really was working hard to portray him as this very innocent, hard-working family man. They said that there wasn't enough evidence to tie him to this crime, that there was also unknown DNA found in his trunk, which could be linked to the real killer. They also said that the police never even found a murder weapon that could link Christian to this crime. So much circumstantial evidence. They also said that while Christian did not kill Molly, he did know who did. He offered a completely different explanation that caught almost everyone completely off guard. Christian took the stand in his own defense, which I have to say is pretty rare in a case like this, and he testified through a Spanish interpreter, sharing a story that nobody had heard before. According to Christian, he was at home at his trailer on the farm property on the evening of July 18th. That's when two masked men, one tall and one short, broke in. One of them had a gun, the other one had a knife. He said they forced him into his own car and they told him to drive all around town. He said that they crouched really low in his backseat, hidden from view, as he drove all through Brooklyn. Then, when they saw Molly, they directed him to circle her. They ordered him to drive past her several times before finally pulling up alongside on a gravel road that she had just run past and parking the car. Then Christian claimed that one of the men got out of his car, the one with the knife. He was gone for about 10 to 12 minutes. When the man returned, he told Christian to keep driving. Eventually, they pulled over again, a little ways up the road. He says the men got out, opened the trunk, placed something heavy inside of it, and then instructed him to drive to a cornfield. Then, once they were there, he said they just took off and ran off into the night. So that's when Christian said he opened up the trunk and he discovered Molly, barely alive, bleeding from her head and her neck. He claimed he was too scared to help her and he was too scared to call anyone, afraid of what the men might do to his ex-girlfriend or to his young daughter. So, he just decided to carry Molly into the field, laid her down, covered her with corn stalks. He even told the court, quote, "She was very heavy. I picked her up and I put her in the cornfield. I didn't want her to be too exposed to the sun." And then he says, he just drove off. He didn't tell anyone about what had happened. And he says he never saw the two men ever again. He had no idea who they were. But one detail really stood out. Remember when the man with the knife had first gotten out of the car by that gravel road? Well, Christian had waited in the car with the other man, the one who had the gun and was still in the back seat. And he said that he heard this other man mutter something to himself. And he claimed it sounded like he was saying, "Come on, Jack." And this comment stood out, especially because Molly's boyfriend, Dalton's last name was Jack. Cooler days call for layers at last, and you guys know, Coins is my go-to for quality essentials that feel cozy, that look refined, and that don't blow the budget. And I want you to just $50 Molly cash reasonable cost that it's like a wrap and cuts out the middleman. They deliver all of that luxury feel without. Now, this was the first time that anyone had heard this version of events. It hadn't been brought up during Christian's hours of questioning with the police, not when he led them to her body, never in between any of that, never. It was just a complete pivot. And the timing, of course, raised a lot of questions. So the defense leaned hard into this theory. They argued that Christian had been coerced during the interrogation, pointing out, too, that he had been questioned for 11 hours and was visibly exhausted, even was falling asleep during parts of the interview. They played the footage of him sleeping in the court, hoping that it would show that his confession was not as reliable as it seemed. They also brought up the language barrier. Now, Officer Pamela Romero was one of the few Spanish-speaking officers involved, and she had led the interview, but the defense questioned her experience level, suggesting that a more seasoned investigator might have handled it a little bit differently. At the same time, the defense tried to plant doubt by pointing fingers elsewhere. They argued that the police just had tunnel vision, that once Christian became a suspect, they didn't even take the time to seriously investigate other leads. They also brought up Dalton Jackie, Molly's boyfriend, calling attention to his past cheating, his temper, the inconsistencies in his statements to the police. They also questioned him on the stand, asking what he lied about things like cheating, what he lied about his timeline that night, all to which Dalton again said he felt like it wasn't important to the investigation, right? They also pointed out that Dalton had once mentioned seeing a suspicious man dressed in black with baggy pants and a chain walking around Brooklyn around the time Molly went missing. That tip never led anywhere. The defense used it to argue that maybe investigators moved on to Christian too quickly, just purposefully ignoring all of these other possibilities so that they could blame everything on Christian. They even called attention to others who lived near the area where Molly's body was found, suggesting that more people should have been questioned, saying someone lived near the field where Molly was found, and maybe they had something to do with her death. In the prosecution's case, it was simple. They told the jury that evidence pointed in one direction, Christian Romero. They laid out all of the facts. Molly's blood was found in the trunk of his car. Surveillance footage showed a black Chevy Malibu repeatedly circling the area where Molly was last seen. The same vehicle was eventually traced back directly to Christian, and his story had changed more than once. And most importantly, he was the one who led investigators straight to Molly's body. And during an interview, he even said that he was the only person who could lead them to Molly. So to the prosecution, that was more than enough. They emphasized that from the very start of the investigation, Christian was the only suspect. There was no physical evidence tying anyone else to this crime. No one else knew where her body was. And while the defense tried to suggest alternative theories, the state pushed back hard, calling all of those stories just distractions with no real backing. So, after days of emotional testimony, expert analysis, and conflicting stories, the case was handed over to the jury. The jury consisted of 5 women and 7 men, and they deliberated for more than 7 hours across 2 days. And then finally, on May 28, 2021, the jury returned with a unanimous verdict: guilty of first-degree murder. Christian showed very little reaction when that decision was read. There was no outburst, no emotion, just a quiet acceptance of what was now a reality. And when the guilty verdict was read, it brought a wave of relief to Molly's family. It didn't bring her back, and it didn't erase the pain, obviously, but it gave them something that they had been waiting for: justice. And after nearly 3 years of unanswered questions, the person responsible for her death was finally being held accountable. In Brooklyn, people gathered around live streams and news alerts just watching this verdict come in live, and nearly everyone in town had known Molly or her family in some way. So when this verdict was announced, there were tears, quiet nods of affirmation, even some applause. It was a shared moment of closure in a case that rocked this entire community. Then, on August 30th, 2021, Christian returned to the courtroom for sentencing. The room was packed, filled with Molly's friends, family, relatives, community members, everyone who had supported the family every step of the way. And Christian was given the opportunity to speak before his sentence was handed down, but he declined. Instead, Molly's mother, Laura, delivered a victim impact statement, and it was read aloud by a representative from the Attorney General's office. She talked about the moment that she found out Molly's body had been discovered, and how she raced to tell her family before the media could break the news to them. She also recalled the difficulty of telling Molly's grandmother, who had still been holding out hope that her granddaughter was alive. Laura also spoke about the ripple effect that this tragedy has had, not just on their family, but on others. Even Christian's employer, she said, has now faced threats over this, and a family close to him had been forced to move away. And then she turned her words directly toward Christian, asking him to imagine how he would feel if someone did this to his own family, saying, "I do hope one day your daughter Paulina has an opportunity to become a mother, but how will she ever explain to her children who their grandfather is? This is the legacy that you left behind for your only child."
Mr. Ramirez, I come here today not because I feel the need to address you. However, I come here to give a voice to our daughter, granddaughter, sister, girlfriend, niece, cousin, and friend, Molly Cecilia Tibbetts. Molly was a young woman who simply wanted to go for a flight of bread on the evening of July 18th, and you chose to violently and sadistically end that life. I want to address the chain of events you set off on the morning of August 18th after you led authorities to Molly's remains in a Courtknee. Do you know what it's like, Mr. Ramirez, to be woken up by your youngest son, Scott, telling you the sheriff needs to talk to us? Scott and I stood in the entrance of our home where sheriffs Tom Kriegel and Matt Bushman stood with tears in their eyes. It took them a minute to find the words to say. We hoped for different results. However, we found Molly's remains today. I thank them for their service, and they left because there was still a lot of work to be done. I led Scott, whose eyes were brimming with tears, to the living room and sat him down on the couch. Scott, I said, I am so sorry. I'm going to call Aunt Lily over to the house to be with you because Mom has a lot of work to do. Next, I needed to tell my son Jake. Jake was in his apartment in Iowa City, and I did not want him to hear that his sister was not coming home on the news. Knowing my sister Kim was headed to Iowa City for work, I called her and said, Kim, we found Molly's remains this morning, and I need you to pick Jake up and bring him home. It was a race against the clock to notify all the people who cared so deeply for Molly that she was not coming home. It was very important to notify the people who cared deeply about Molly so they did not hear this on the news. Imagine what it's like to call Molly's father, Rob, who resides in Fresno, California, and say, Rob, I am so sorry to have to tell you this, but they found Molly's remains this morning, and I need you to come back to Iowa. Can you imagine, Mr. Rivera, as a father, having Paulina's mother taken away from you and to have to tell your daughter that she will never come home? However, the most difficult person to tell was Molly's grandmother and my mother, Judy Calderwood. Judy truly believed her granddaughter would be found alive, because who could harm such a beautiful, vibrant young woman, so full of life and promise? Who could harm Judy's precious granddaughter, let alone brutally murder her and dump her body in a cornfield? This was heartbreaking news that needed to be delivered in person.
Should I do a wing
I went to
eyeliner?
my mother's home, and she greeted me with a big smile and asked if I wanted a cup of coffee. There certainly was no easy way to tell her the news. However, it had to be done before her phone started ringing with loved ones sending their condolences. I very quietly and softly said, Mom, I have some bad news. They found Molly's body this morning, but we know where she is now. Judy Calderwood's unwavering faith had been brutally shattered by your senseless act of violence. Can you imagine, Mr. Rivera, sitting across the table from your madre and telling her Paulina is never coming home? I am aware that you know Ulysses Felix Sandoval and his family. Yuli, as I call him, was a classmate and a friend of my son Scott. Do you know Yuli was at the press conference where authorities announced that you, Christian Bahena Rivera, had been charged with the murder of Molly Tibbetts? Yuli immediately started crying, but knew that he needed to call his madre before she heard on the news. The Felix Sandoval family was devastated. How could this young man they fed and fostered be responsible for such a heinous crime? Do you know, Mr. Rivera, that Yuli's parents had to leave Brooklyn because they were receiving death threats? Do you know Yuli lived in our home for his last year of high school so he could finish his senior year and play sports? However, Yuli's parents did not get to experience his senior year with him because of your senseless act. Because of your act, your then employer, Craig Lane, lost all his employees because those workers were afraid of what would happen to them. Because of your act, Dalton Jack will never get to give Molly the engagement ring he had purchased for her. Because of your act, Molly's father, Rob, will never get to walk his only daughter down the aisle. Because of your act, Mr. Rivera, I will never get to see my daughter become a mother. I do hope one day Paulina has the opportunity to become a mother, but how will she ever explain to her children who their grandmother is? This is the legacy you left behind for your only child, Mr. Rivera. I don't know whose situation is worse.
The judge then handed down the sentence: life in prison without the possibility of parole. It was the only sentence available for first-degree murder in Iowa. And for many people in Brooklyn and across the country, the guilty verdict and the sentencing felt like the end of a very long and painful chapter. Molly's family could finally breathe at least a little bit, but the case was not over. Christian's defense team began filing all sorts of motions in hopes of overturning the conviction or in the hopes of getting a new trial. And on July 8th, 2021, just weeks after the jury's decision, they submitted a motion for a new trial, and also a motion asking the court to cancel the guilty verdict altogether. Their argument? Well, they said that new evidence had come to light that could possibly exonerate Christian. A few days later, on July 13th, the defense asked the court to force the state to turn over more investigative records and information. They said that they had been receiving tips that pointed toward other possible suspects, and one of those tips came from a prison inmate who claimed another inmate had confessed to killing Molly. According to this story, the person who confessed, someone named Gavin Jones, claimed that he and another man had carried out the murder as part of a plan that was orchestrated by a man involved in sex trafficking. The defense claimed that Gavin was tied to a local man named James Lowe, and that they tried to link Molly's case to the disappearance of Xavier Harrelson, an 11-year-old boy who had gone missing from the same county 3 years after Molly. They asked the court for access to any investigations involving James, Gavin, or other individuals connected to this alleged trafficking ring in or around the county. They argued that without this information, they couldn't fully explore other potential suspects, and therefore they couldn't guarantee that Christian had received a fair trial. But the state, of course, pushed back. They accused the defense of now going on a fishing expedition, trying to unearth anything that might poke a hole in the case, even if it wasn't relevant. The judge ultimately ruled that the defense's requests were too far broad and lacked a direct connection to Molly's case. But still, the hearing for a new trial moved forward, and in that request, the defense laid out several arguments. Most importantly, they said that the jury was given an incorrect instruction about what reasonable doubt actually meant. They criticized the investigation too, pointing to the lack of a murder weapon, also the absence of a clear motive, and the fact that much of the case had relied on a confession that had been extracted under duress and sleep deprivation. They also claimed that two people who didn't know each other both claimed to have heard someone else confess to Molly's murder. But in the end, the judge wasn't convinced. The court denied the motion for a new trial, stating that the evidence presented at trial, especially that confession and Molly's blood in the trunk and the location of her body, was all overwhelming. So as of now, Christian remains incarcerated, serving a life sentence without the possibility of parole. But most importantly, Molly's family is still learning how to live with the weight of losing her. And the town of Brooklyn continues to feel the absence of a young woman who had so much more of her life ahead of her. But Molly has not been forgotten. I mean, far from it. Those teal ribbons still are hanging from trees, lampposts, everywhere throughout Brooklyn. Justice for Molly signs are also still displayed in windows, and her initials are painted on the track at her former high school. They even erected a statue in her name and started a memorial fund for child psychiatry at the University of Iowa, and this is in Molly's name. Each year, the town also holds a 5.5-mile run that goes along her same route that she would take on those evening jogs. It's a way to remember her not by the violence that ended her life, but by the joy and the energy that she brought to the world, doing something that she loved too. Jogging was one of her favorite things to do, which I think that's such a positive way to remember her by. Now, I am curious what you think about this case. What do you think the motive was? The fact that the bottom half of her clothing had been removed does make me think that there was some sort of sexual assault motivation there. Maybe it never came to fruition because, as we know, they never found sperm or anything like that, but maybe that was the goal, but then he didn't want to do that post-mortem and he attacked her too hard that it killed her. Maybe he changed his mind, but why else would she be undressed from the waist down? Or do you think this was just a thrill kill? He was stalking his prey and then decided to pounce. What do you think the motivation was here? Because remember, he had absolutely no connection to Molly. She was a complete random on the street. So, curious to know your thoughts. Alright guys, now before we go, one last quick reminder, the merch shop is closing today at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So now is the chance to get those final orders in. It will not open back up. There will not be another time to grab it until next year. So now's the time. Any orders for yourself, for the holidays, the sweatshirts, the lounge sets, whatever it is you want at AnnieElise.com. All right, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. I really appreciate it. I would love it if you would share this podcast with your friends in your group chat, on your social media, wherever it is, because it's a free way to support the podcast and get some other true crime besties talking and listening with us. All right, thank you so much, and I will be back with you on Thursday with headline highlights where we are talking through everything happening this week in the true crime world. All right, until the next one, be nice, don't kill anyone, stay safe. Wait, if you go for a run, just watch your back. Maybe only have one AirPod in. Don't listen to music and fully tune it out. Just be aware of your surroundings. All right, thanks again, and take care. Bye.
I used to see some series. My buddy picked cards and and then I moved away from it. I think it's decent, except for Bella's now. A wild haunting. One that I have wanted to cover, actually. I think that when we talked to Sam and Colby about a couple of places they'd been, they mentioned this house. Oh, I think you're right. Like some crazy shit happened to them in this house. I think you're exactly right. You know, check out, Karen. I know, as I said that, I was like, I'm literally shouting out our queen. But yeah, I think, so I'm fairly certain, unless I'm completely insane, which is it's a real thing that can happen, that they probably have a video about this house. So I'll look it up just to make sure you're not a liar. So I think you're right. If they do, you should go look at the video after this because they're, adorable. So this is the Sally house, or what Dave has entitled this episode, which made me laugh, was Sally the Man-Hater. Sally the Man-Hater? Sally the Man-Hater. Yeah, they have a video, Sam and Colby, just to go back really quick. Our demonic encounter at Haunted Sally House. Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to watch
So go watch that after. All right, so let's talk about Sally House. So by the time...
Where can I find public land? How do I get to that campsite? Does that lake have big fish? Find answers to questions like these and more with Onyx. Learn more at onyxmaps.com.
NetCredit is here to say yes, because you're more than a credit score. Apply in minutes and get a decision as soon as...
This 70-something-year-old woman who bakes banana bread and takes care of her grandchildren.
It's hard to embrace that she could commit such a heinous act.
Her son, Charlie, knew how to get it done. He was Donna's right hand.
The daughter, Wendy, is at the center of this entire story.
I was not involved in any plot to kill Danny.
The estranged son, Robbins.
Who is the leader in the family? Who tends to run the show?
I think my mom, a very powerful witness. He had direct evidence to offer.
I don't want to listen to that Allison case.
Not a killer. She's a meddler, not a murderer.
Leave a jury, find the defendant.
Shock. It's such a traumatic moment.
A dad gunned down in his girl.
Every strange disappearances and certain games. So, thanks, Capital and Bank Guy, of their local agents, like a good neighbor from Hasselquist. At those threads, we read about how a devoted mom could vanish in the dead of night, about the witness who never told the same story twice, and about the husband whose answers only raised more questions. But once we started pulling at those threads, we realized that nothing about this story is simple, and it unraveled into something far more chilling than we expected. This is the story of Gwen Hasselquist.
Should I do eyeliner?
Alright, let me take you back to a time that we all wish we could forget. It is March 20th, 2020. The global COVID pandemic had finally gripped the U.S., and we couldn't just drink bleach to make it go away, despite previous advice from a president. Now, where our story takes place in none other than Washington State, schools are closed, grocery shelves are empty, and stay-at-home orders are just about to take hold. While most people are hunkered down inside, Washington State for nearly enough is out. The streets are quiet. Traffic calms. And just after midnight, dispatch radio signal about 9 minutes stopped on the shoulder of the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, which is like this mile-long suspension bridge that crosses over the Puget Sound from Gig Harbor to Tacoma. Now, Trooper Knox drives over, and he spots it right away. A Chrysler minivan pulled over against the guardrail with all four doors wide open. And it's not just stuck. It's clearly been in an accident. Like the passenger side is wrecked, or scraped and dented all the way down. And all three windows on that side have been broken. The glass is shattered and scattered all over the road. When Trooper Knox gets close, he also notices a guy reaching into the van through the driver's side door. And the guy is holding an open beer, kind of talking to himself, and just like not making a ton of sense. So Trooper Knox is probably thinking that this is a pretty straightforward drunk driving accident. But the second that this man with the beer starts talking, he realizes that nothing about this is going to be straightforward. Now, he learned that this guy's name is Demetrius Jackson, and Demetrius tells him a truly wild story. It turns out the van isn't his, and he wasn't driving it either. Demetrius claims that he was walking to his mom's house in Tacoma from his girlfriend's place. And if we found the right girlfriend, her house would have been on the Gig Harbor side of the bridge, about a mile from the on-ramp. And so he says he is walking, and all of a sudden this woman comes over the van and offers him a ride. Now, Demetrius says that he could see someone else in the back of the van, but he didn't get a really good look at it. Didn't matter, he was happy with the ride. So he got in the van and the woman started driving down the bridge. Then out of nowhere, she just stopped midway, gets out of the van, and started wandering off toward the safety rail. Now, it doesn't explicitly say in police reports that Demetrius followed her, but he must have, because he says when they got back to the van, like together, he saw that the side of the van was damaged. He's just noticing it now? Yeah, so super weird to me. I don't know if he's claiming he maybe got in on the driver's side of the van before and therefore didn't notice it. But it's not like the car could have been sideswiped while they were out of it, because all the damage is on the side closest to the guardrail. And actually, to Trooper Knox, it kind of looks like it hit the guardrail. But Demetrius also isn't saying anything about there being a crash while he was in the car. He says he has no idea how the damage happened. But he says the woman had been acting weird. Like, the only thing she said to him was something like, "It's nice to meet you," or "It's nice to talk to you." But they didn't actually do any talking, according to him. At least not more than her offering him the ride. Demetrius said that all of it was just like too weird, so he decided to just leave. And he starts walking back down the bridge on foot to get to his mom's house. But as he was walking, he said he got this weird feeling and decided to turn around. And as he got closer to the van, he swears that he saw what he describes as a dark figure standing by the railing. 1 minute that dark figure is there, and then the next it's just gone. And by the time he got back to the van, there was no sign of the woman or whoever was in the van with her.
Where did the beer he was holding come into all of this? And why was he reaching back into the car when the trooper pulled up? It sounds like he just stole the van and now he's trying to cover his tracks.
I know. There is no mention of beer in the first report. But as for why he's reaching back into the van, well, there is a story about that. So he says that now that no one was near the vehicle, I guess he just decided the van was his at that point, because he tells Trooper Knox that he thought the woman gave it to him.
Not sure that's how that works.
I know. He says he was trying to, him reaching in was him trying to, push it down the road because he didn't have the keys.
Which doesn't exactly track with her giving him the van.
I know.
He would need to come with it.
And no surprise, of course he doesn't have any papers proving that she gave it to him either, since he just showed that he decided she did.
Yeah.
But Demetrius tells Trooper Knox he just assumed that she wanted him to have it. Okay? Stories all over the place. Yeah. And unfortunately, at this time of night, at this time of the pandemic, there are no other witnesses to back him up or even to refute his story. But either way, Trooper Knox isn't buying it. So he runs the registration on the minivan, and it comes back to a man named Eric Hasselwitz, who lives about 20 minutes away. But the van hasn't been reported stolen or anything. So they can't actually arrest Demetrius. So to figure out what's what, another officer who had made it to the scene by that point leaves Trooper Knox with Demetrius, and then this officer heads over to the address on file to check if Eric knows what's going on in his hand. Now, by the time the officer knocks on Eric's door, it's around 1 o'clock in the morning. So it's not surprising when no one answers right away. Except through a window, he sees that 2 kids are inside, a young boy and a young girl, both elementary school age. So through the window, he's like, "Hey, are your parents home?" The little girl just shrugs, but then the kids do go and open the door to tell him that their parents are sleeping. And eventually, their dad, Eric, hears them talking to the officer. And he doesn't come out, which I think is a little bit strange. He just kind of yells from another room asking what's going on. Obviously, the officer tells him they're trying to figure out who has their minivan, and that's when Eric finally comes to the door. tells the officer no one is supposed to have the van. The whole family is home. So he and the officer go and take a look outside where the van is usually parked. And of course, it's not there. But the family's other car is there, parked in the driveway, with the lights on and the door open. Now, there's nothing in the officer's report about the other car looking broken into or damaged, just lights on, doors open. So maybe whoever stole the van, did that too. Maybe. But Eric tells the officer that he last saw the van at around 10 p.m. Now, weirdly, there's no mention about whether they asked him if there was any damage to the van before this. I'm assuming if it was already wrecked, that would have come up somehow.
That's like a description of like my van was this color. Also, there's a scrape all the way down the house. Right.
Windows are blown out. But again, remember that glass was like on the thing. So
Mel Bueno. Hi, beautiful.
There at the time. So whoever took the van had likely gone into an accident and made it onto the bridge all within a couple of hours. Now, as the officer is talking to Eric, he notices that they have a ring camera, which, like, glorious. Maybe they'll have the thief on tape, and this can all be wrapped up before shift change. So he asks if he can take a look at the footage, and Eric shows him a screenshot from the ring cam that shows his wife, Gwen, leaving the house at around 10:19 p.m.
Wait, like he just whipped out the screenshot all ready to go, or he had to like go get the footage and then took the screenshot with the time code?
Unclear. I know if you have a ring camera, you can see the full recording history in the app, but it only shows what looks like a screenshot unless you like click in to play the full video. So I assume that first screenshot is what Eric is showing the officer. Now, he doesn't push Eric for more, though. He's just like, okay, great. Well, if she left at 10:19, did she come back?
Right, like, did she have the van? Maybe she was the woman who said he met on the bridge.
Right.
Or, of course, someone else who stole your van.
Right. So Eric says, yes, driveway, at least that he sees. And Eric tells the officer that's because the ring camera sensors don't, like, always trip. And look, I don't know about you if you have one of these, but, like, my camera at home catches, like, a squirrel crossing my yeah. So I'm, like, a little bit side-eyeing this.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can adjust sensors on your cameras to make them, like, less sensitive or whatever. Like, I don't know, in this situation, just go talk to Gwen. Wake her up. Well, ask her what happened. When she got home, all of it. She's right there.
Well, this is where
Should I do eyeliner?
of the time come in because of social distancing protocols, the officer doesn't go inside to talk to her about where she went and what time she got back or anything. And listen, like, what makes this all even stranger to me is that Eric doesn't seem that concerned about the van. I mean, it's about to be towed away after sitting wrecked on a bridge.
Hey.
But according to the report, he's like, whatever, like, no big deal.
Which, like, I'm also thinking it's a minivan. They have 2 kids. Like, this is probably, like, the primary family vehicle. And it's just, like, gone because of care.
Yeah, and even though police, like, know his reaction, and it's a little bit odd, they seem far more interested in and suspicious of Demetrius, the man they found with the wrecked van. So the officer writes a stolen vehicle report and just kind of goes on his way. He notifies Trooper Knox back at the bridge that he should arrest Demetrius for possession of a stolen vehicle, and that's that. Case closed for about an hour. Then around 2 a.m.,
I put some eyeshadow on.
calls 911 to report his wife, Gwen, missing. The same one that he had just told the officer was home sleeping. She's now gone.
Over the years, Blue Apron has shipped more than 130 million meal kits.
Send me a screenshot of what you think I should do.
First time, customers can
Go to one of my videos and find what makeup look you think I should do.
subscription required. Discover new
How about that?
and pre-made meals that let you get good food on the table in a pinch. With more than 100 weekly meals, running double their previous menu. And 75% of them customizable, customers now have more choice than ever. I'm recording this literally the day after having one of the amazing meals from Blue Apron for dinner. We made this incredible peanut udon noodle bowl that came with all the ingredients ready to go, including eggs to fry and put on top. They shipped in this little, like, specialized carton. So cute. Also, so delicious. And later this week, we're having an amazing pesto noodle.
Thank you for the heart,
All we
me.
have to do is put the ingredients in the baking pan that Blue Apron provided and bake it. So easy and quick to put together. Try the new Blue Apron today and get 40% off your orders at blueapron.com with code PrimeJunkie40. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Who
Century Studios presents a Hulu original, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Upscale suburban mom Caitlin
Thank you, Negrita.
only to slowly uncover she harbors deadly secrets and nefarious intentions. Micah Monroe and Mary Elizabeth Winstead star in this psychological thriller. A Hulu original, The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. Now streaming on Hulu and Hulu on Disney Plus for bundle subscribers. Terms apply.
Eric tells police that after the officer left his house,
Thank
he
you,
went to go check on her,
Negrita.
and that's when he says he
What are you
realized
doing?
she was actually not a woman.
Why did he say she came back then?
He doesn't actually mention why he says that. But if Gwen was self-isolating, maybe he thought that she just kind of slipped back in at some point to like keep away from him and the kids.
Okay, but if my van was gone and found in a wreck, and I had found footage of my husband Justin leaving but not coming back, even if I had a glitchy camera, I think I'd be worried enough to check right away when the officer was like, they are looking for him, unless I was absolutely sure, had laid eyes on him, knew he was home.
Yeah, I hear you. Maybe he didn't want to wake her up because she was sick, or I don't know. I don't know.
But she went out at 10 p.m. Like, I'm kind of questioning how sick can she be? Also, where is she even going at that time of night if she's sick? And I think she has COVID.
Eric didn't know. He doesn't know where she would have been going. All he knows is that he says she didn't take her phone or her wallet with her, like that was back in the house. But he did notice something else, something unsettling when he was looking around the house for her. He says that her bottle of clonazepam, which she takes for anxiety, was gone. Eric found 3 loose pills on the floor, but the bottle itself, which he thinks would have had like 60 pills in it, was nowhere to be found.
So he thinks she was suicidal. I guess, what is he saying with this?
I mean, he's not saying that outright, but he does tell police that before she went missing, Gwen was convinced that she had COVID. She had been tested for it the day before, and
Negrita,
she was like, beside herself.
what are you doing?
Now, Gwen is immunocompromised.
Thank
and
you.
Some of the autoimmune disorders she had, like Sjogren's disease and interstitial lung disease, can affect the lungs, which would make her more vulnerable to COVID specifically. And Eric said that even though her test
Thank you for the
hadn't
hand
checked,
horn.
Gwen was like scared.
Thank you for the mustache cowboy thing.
So he doesn't say that she had a history of suicidal ideation or anything like that, but I think when police put all these pieces that he's been giving them together, they begin to worry that maybe Gwen is out there and maybe in danger of hurting herself. So right after police finished talking to Eric, like still in the early morning hours of March 20th, same day they found the van, they go back to Demetrius.
Well, I don't even know what filling my gallery
They show him Gwen's license
really
photo, and
means,
he's like, yeah, that's
but I
the
appreciate
woman who was with the van. That's the woman from his story. Which, by the way, just before seeing this picture, that story changed a bit. So when he was in the back of Trooper Knox's patrol car, he gave a slightly different version of what happened on the bridge. This time, Demetrius says that he's walking across the bridge when the van pulled over, and curiosity got the best of him, so he went back to the van. And this is where the story stayed consistent. On the way back, he says he sees this dark figure on the bridge by the safety railing, on the side closer to the water. And as he got closer, he realized that the figure was just gone. So now, with this new story, I mean, which is kind of the same story.
Now I've got everything put up. Well, kind of.
Everything that Eric told them about Gwen's state of mind. Police asked Demetrius directly, like, did you see anyone jump off the bridge? And he says he assumed that she did. So he figured maybe giving him the van was the woman's, quote, dying wish.
It really was that van.
We're still past this, I know.
But if he thinks Gwen jumped, there's still another person. Like, who was that mystery person in the car? And where are they now? Like, where did they go?
Eric told the officer that no one else was supposed to have access to the van. So I assume, in an effort to make sure Eric wasn't that mystery man in the van, they do show Demetrius Eric's photo. But Demetrius says no. Like, I've never seen Eric before. Seems like they take him at his word because they don't even end up charging Demetrius with anything, not even trying to steal the van after he found it, which is a little odd to me, but they just let him go, and Gwen is entered into the system as a missing person that night. If everyone's stories are true, and she did jump, police are racing against the clock to try and find her before it's too late. So So they call the Coast Guard out to help them search the Puget Sound below the bridge. The search goes on for hours without any sign of her. And Eric does his own form of searching for his wife as well. Just before 6 a.m., police see that Eric has posted the full ring cam footage of Gwen leaving the house on Facebook. Not just the screenshot this time. And he's asking people to help find her. Now, we actually got that video from police. And here's the entire clip that he posted online.
Okay, so you can see, like, it's super dark out. You can just see, like, the stoop of their house. Gwen leaves. It looks like she's, like, about to lock up. She's getting her keys ready. But she's, like, stop. Like she's in, like, the bolt lock. And she can't, like, get the key in, or, like, isn't finding the...
Are you going to send me a
key.
picture?
Now she's down at the handle with the same key. She's missing the handle. Like, she's not even...
But it's not even, like, full fumbling. It's, like, she's, like, staggering a little.
Yeah. And she's almost... When she's not getting it, she's not correcting herself right away. She's, like, pausing, like, wait, let me focus, like, yeah, really
Oh my gosh.
hard to try to do this.
I said to send me a picture of what makeup look you want me to do. Like, go look at one of my old videos and show me what makeup I should do.
Pretty much it.
Then it just cuts off. Yeah. Police's interpretation of that video is that she looks really out of it. Like, maybe the clonazepam that was missing, she took it and was already kicking in when she left, which is just adding to the suicide theory. And I mean, watching that footage, you can't help but wonder what happened after Gwen walked out that door. Now, the footage doesn't
Do you think I should do my hair half purple and half blue again?
While she's at the door.
Yeah, and did they ever request the full video?
Not that I can tell. If they did, if they got it, they have not shared that with us. But they might not have thought to because of what happened next. At 2:19 p.m., a kayaker paddling in the Puget Sound, about 7 miles from the bridge where the van was found, finds Gwen's lifeless body. When authorities pull her out, they can tell that it's her because she's wearing the same clothes that she had on in that ring camera video. They can also tell that her arm is broken. And one detective on the scene noted that there was a 1 to 2 inch tear on the back of Gwen's left hand and cuts on her left wrist that weren't consistent with self-harm.
I wasn't looking for that when I was watching the video, but did she have that on her hand in the ring video?
I don't see anything big that stands out. But I also don't know what it is they're looking at when they say that. Like, they didn't share the autopsy pictures. Now, they say that she had tiny shards of broken safety glass stuck to her clothes and even inside her bra. The same kind of glass that was scattered around the bridge by the van and the guardrail. And in her pockets are the van's keys. None of the police reports come right out and say this yet. But when you look at the conversations with Aaron and Demetrius and the details police document here, everything points to them treating this like Gwen crashed the van and then jumped into the water. But a medical examiner will make the final call.
Looking for a TV service that puts you in charge? Sling is the live TV option that gives you total flexibility. Only pay for channels you actually watch, so you don't have to wonder why you're stuck paying for stuff you don't want. With Sling, you can also come and go as you please. Pause your subscription at any time, and you'll still have access to more than 600 free channels. And with their new passes, you decide when you want to watch, whether it's for a week, a weekend, or even just a single day. It's getting to be peak sports season, and I'm definitely ready to get in and watch every game my schedule allows. With Sling, I'm able to get a package that gives me all the channels I would need to watch the NFL and NBA games, and I love the convenience of the Sling passes. I use my subscription for the season and pause it once the season wraps up. It's truly so convenient and easy to have the TV channels I want when I need them. Choose to customize your channel without more pause and watch for free. Sling lets you do that. Visit sling.com to learn more.
This is an ad by BetterHelp. World Mental Health Day is in October, and BetterHelp is shining a spotlight on therapists, people who truly make the world a better place because the right therapist can change everything. That's because you can change anything with the right outlook and the right support. BetterHelp therapists work according to a strict code of conduct and are fully qualified. BetterHelp does the initial matching work for you so you can focus on your therapy goals. Your questionnaire helps identify your needs and preferences. industry-leading match fulfillment rate means they typically get it right the first time. But if you're not happy with your match, switch to a different therapist at any time from their tailored recs. This World Mental Health Day, we're celebrating the therapists who've helped millions of people take a step forward. If you're ready to find my other eyeliner, BetterHelp can help you start that journey. Our listeners get 10% off their first month at betterhelp.com/crimejunkie. That's betterhelp.com/crimejunkie. When the autopsy report comes back, the ME does note those cuts and the broken arm that they saw at the scene, and x-rays show multiple rib fractures. She has faint bruising on her neck, deeper bruises on her leg, and her chest had been flattened. Now she's missing a front tooth. There's a small scratch-like mark inside her mouth from her upper to lower lip from what seems like blunt force trauma. And the ME thinks that all of these injuries are consistent with a jump from the bridge into the water 195 feet below. When toxicology reports come back, they show that clonazepam is in her system, about 25 nanograms per milliliter, plus a high level of its metabolite, which is enough to indicate a possible overdose.
And if she overdosed, even given how she was in that video, would she have even been able to drive?
Not well. I mean, the drive is still a question for the ME's office, too. In an investigative report, it's noted that how Gwen made it to the Puget Sound isn't clear. But maybe that explains the accident.
But if she already overdosed, why would she drive out to a bridge and jump?
Well, overdose doesn't mean that it's fatal. I guess like clonazepam, even in large doses, actually usually isn't fatal. Maybe she didn't know that and she realized it wasn't doing what she intended. Maybe she didn't want to be in the house where her kids might find her. Listen, the autopsy will tell you what, not why.
Right.
And the what is enough for the ME to rule Gwen's death a suicide from multiple traumatic injuries consistent with jumping from a height. When police send a chaplain to notify Eric that Gwen's body has been found, they expect shock, grief, anything. But the chaplain says he shows almost no emotion. He's just like unfazed. And though earlier he claimed that she had no previous suicidal ideation, he is just like really quick to accept Gwen's death for what it is. Like on social media, he posted that Gwen was depressed about having COVID and that she just lost her will to live. Like Gwen's loved ones don't believe that for a second. They tell police that she was doing well leading up to her death. I mean, she was in therapy and she had just started reconnecting with her family, but she was making plans for the future.
I mean, anything there that would play into this?
The therapy?
Yeah.
So she was in therapy for this childhood trauma, and she had distanced herself from some family members. And I did get a little more from her family on what exactly it was and how serious it was. I could see it being a factor. But A, her family told us that she was never suicidal over the issue. B, Eric never once brings this up as a reason that he thinks she would have taken her own life. He only ever points to COVID. And also C, her family says that she would never, ever abandon her kids. She loved them more than anything. And they claim that ever since her death,
Thank you,
Eric
Danny, for the
had started,
rose.
isolating the kids from
How
the
you
rest
doing,
of the
girl?
family. So over the next few months, they beg police to just take a closer look at Eric. And they point out an old domestic violence allegation made by Gwen against him from when he was stationed at a nearby military base between 2011 and 2014, which police do find a record of. The record says that he allegedly assaulted Gwen after threatening to take his own life. And her loved ones also show police some of the strange things that Eric had been posting online since Gwen died.
Should I do
just days after her death,
bottom
Eric
eyeliner?
posted that the family's dog died of COVID too, but the timing felt super off to Gwen's friends and family, like almost too quick.
Wait, were pets dying from COVID too?
Okay, thank you. I did a double take on that too. I had to do some Googling. It's possible, per the Mayo Clinic, it's more likely to spread from person to
I don't have
animal
any black
than animal to
eyeshadow.
person. And you would need to have close contact with the pet while infected. Okay.
I had to start all over with my makeup, Dan. Yeah. We got bed bugs, and our landlord wasn't going to fix it for 3 months. He needed 3 months to be able to pay for it. So he let us just break our lease, and we moved and left everything. We started all over. Like, if it wouldn't go in the dryer, we weren't taking it. So, yeah, I lost all my makeup, all my home decor, like everything. If I couldn't douse it in alcohol, make sure it was good, I was not bringing it. I could not chance it. Yeah. So I don't have black eyeshadow. I have brown eyeshadow. I did cry. I did. It sucked. But it's okay. It was a year ago in June. All my makeup I've collected over the years. Yep. It sucked so bad. My James Charles palette, and they don't even make them anymore. That was like my heart.
If Gwen had COVID, she could have spread it to her dog.
I totally get it.
The weird part to me is that the Mayo Clinic website says, quote, if your pet gets sick, try not to worry.
We had to start all over, all new beds, a couch, like everything, dressers.
Most of the pets that got
we
ill
lived out of
had
totes forever.
They could be cared for at home.
Right? I hate that. I love it. Yeah. I
Ill.
loved that palette.
End quote. Okay,
it's so
that's
good.
Great information.
It's so
but
good.
I also have to think, like, when this is happening, we don't know a lot about COVID. You're reading this today in 2025, where there's been a lot more research. How would he, in 2020, have known that? On the other hand, rarely is not never. So, like the Mayo Clinic said, it's possible. But, like...
Yes, those palettes.
It still seems...
Like the 2016 palettes.
Unlikely to me? Yeah. I don't know. So, make of the dog what you will. The thing that really pushed her family over...
Yeah, I've tried Jeffree Star. I love his palettes, too.
Facebook post that Eric made on May 30th, barely 2 months after Gwen's death. That's when he posted...
It was a vibe.
His kids were pushing him to meet someone new.
I think that's what got me into makeup, honestly.
His kids that are, like, elementary school.
Was discovering 2016 makeup in 2020. That's what got me into makeup.
So,
2019, 2020.
Later, after that post, on June 12th, he uploaded a video to YouTube of his wedding.
Before, I would just wear mascara.
That he had just
I didn't even use foundation.
A couple of weeks earlier. What? But even though Eric's behavior...
all my P. Louise palettes.
My eyebrows are ragged, I can see. None of it directly proves that he had anything to do.
But the thought of there being bed bugs or bed bug eggs in my palettes, nope. I couldn't bring them. I just couldn't. And all of my wigs, I didn't bring any of my wigs. I have 0 wigs now. Bed bugs literally stole my personality from me.
Police are sticking to their thought process. This was a suicide. Case closed. Not case closed. It feels like there are so many open questions here. Like, I get this is the easy answer. Maybe even, like, the likely answer based on what they have. But I don't feel like they have everything. Like, how can you just write it off as her taking her own life without making sure? Like, Ashley, the video footage. I need to see the rest of it. And how did she?
I can't buy anything until I get a car for sure.
With this toxic.
Could you imagine if I bought some makeup right now? The hate that I would get.
I know. Also, did we even confirm that she did in fact have?
I've never looked on Marketplace.
The premise of her being in this state.
Yeah, the diatomaceous earth. We heard that, but.
Okay, so hospital records
still
confirm that Gwen was tested on March 19th, like Eric said she was.
It was gross. It was gross. Like, there were bugs, there were eggs, there were, like, every stage of life when we discovered them.
In Washington, I mean, again, it's like early days. Right, we didn't have like rapid tests. There was like,
and it was in my daughter's bed. Like,
right. So there's no telling if she actually had COVID. Which, to your point, I think is like a critical piece of information. Yeah. And so, for all the reasons about all the ones that you just mentioned, Gwen's loved ones have not been
like at that point, my baby, my 2-year-old,
so
she was a baby. I could not stay in that house with the thought of not them all being gone and my little baby getting bit by bed bugs. Mm-mm.
That's when we came in and we started digging ourselves, requesting records.
I definitely will.
Everyone we could, including Eric.
I definitely will.
And what we found.
We should be getting a car Friday. I'm so excited.
Let's talk about softer crimes. There are fashion crimes or crimes like bringing tuna salad with egg to work.
Yeah,
and then there is the crime of thinking your door is just a door, nothing special. While perfecting storm doors for over 70 years,
I don't know why I'm doing my hair when I don't have lashes on yet.
A storm door can offer. The more for your door. It can add extra peace of mind with the most secure magnetic latching technology on the market, SureLatch. And the biggest window opening can help.
I'm thinking I should just do like a half lash.
SureLatch on the new Larson 16 maximum view storm door. Find it in aisle or learn more at larsondoors.com/SureLatch.
I appreciate
earlier
that.
This year,
I
5
really
years
do.
after Gwen's death, we picked up where police left off, with the case closed as a suicide. And we started from the beginning by trying to retrace Gwen's last known steps on the night that she died. But as soon as we did, the cracks in the much she took is like hard to pin.
I love these brown and black lashes.
Dr. Heather Clintworth.
I don't know if you can see them,
This
but
one. And she told us the clonazepam in Gwen's blood was within therapeutic range. Like,
I like these two.
Dose. Yeah. But
I was thinking a half lash, but these are really
the byproduct of the drug breaking down, that was at a level edging into toxic in her system. According to Dr. Clintworth, that means Gwen likely took a heavy dose before leaving the house. But she also told us that the science is kind of messy.
Are you doing today? Hi, Donnie. I don't know what you mean.
And the report doesn't include stomach content analysis, so it's hard to pin down.
I have
like the residual.
I have this thing from the Dollar Tree.
But he's right.
This Be Pure Glow highlight stick. I'm doing good, Donnie. How are you? Should I put more highlight on or put it in the inner corner? I put a little bit above my eyebrows. Okay. I wonder if I should use a brush or my fingers.
I mean, maybe one explains the other in the situation. Maybe she's in an altered state, doesn't even think about taking her glasses with her. Or, I mean, I don't know, like, the terrain of the roads, like maybe it was a straight shot drive.
Well, it's definitely not that. So,
I don't know if you have... Yeah.
There's one, what was the product? I was looking it up, and it was really good for that. And I can't remember what the name of it is. It's something that you wouldn't expect. It's like an iodine and something that I gotta find. If I find it, I'll let you know.
Yeah,
I get really bad razor burn, like horrible.
I'm just gonna show you. I got one right here on my.
Yeah.
Man.
You gotta exfoliate before you do anything.
I know. They hurt so bad.
Yeah.
And I don't know what this is. I got some fucking lump on my neck that hurts.
Well, make sure you get that checked out.
Yeah. It's been there for...
If it's painful, get it checked out.
Yeah, it's usually not painful, but it's painful now. I feel like whatever it is with that lump controls my weight. It's so weird.
It looks like it's in your lymph nodes.
Yeah.
Have you ever used a geisha or goosha or whatever it's called?
No.
It's that little jade thing that you like smooth across your face, and it's supposed to help with all that.
No.
Yeah, look into it. Look at one of the videos. I don't know if that's a swollen lymph node or not.
I think it is. I mean, it's been here. I've had it for a couple of years. It just doesn't
Yeah.
usually hurt, but now it hurts.
Yeah. I don't know, if it was a swollen lymph node, it'd be a little bit bigger. It'd be a bigger nodule. It just might be like a
Is that? I wonder if that. I don't know. Thyroid. I just need to go to a doctor. I need to get.
Yeah.
You have insurance. Why not use it?
Girl, hell yeah! If you got insurance, use it.
But me, like, I go to my Suboxone doctor and ask him. I'm like, hey, what is this? What's
Yeah,
going
you gotta
on?
go to probably dermatology.
He's like, Courtney, you need to make an appointment with your primary. I'm like, you
Yeah.
are my primary doctor. He gets so annoyed by me. He's like, I can put in a referral. But, you know, I thought I got fired from my doctor, from my Suboxone doctor, and I was super, super freaked out. Like, I didn't know what I was going to do. But I called up there and I begged for one more appointment. Like, please, I promise I'll start showing up. And she's like, Courtney, that letter wasn't, you weren't fired. It was just letting you know, like, hey, we've noticed you haven't been showing up multiple times. Like, if this keeps happening, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But when I saw in the letter, I'm gonna grab it. I don't remember what the word was, but there was some certain word that made me think like they were done with me.
Yeah.
And she was like, you're not fired. And she was like, and actually this week we got a ride service. She was like, it's like a lift for doctor's appointments. She was like, the only thing is you can bring one kid and one car seat or two kids without a car seat. She said, but if you want to sign up for it, she's like, we're trying to get people enrolled in it. So I'm like,
good.
I went from thinking I was fired to now having a ride to every appointment I need.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it worked out perfect.
Good. Can I ask you a question about the Suboxone thing?
Yeah.
Is your doctor like wanting you to stay on it long term, or like are they going to start a tapering process?
So my doctor, I don't know. I haven't considered a tapering process. I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
I've always had the mindset of I'm just going to be on this forever, and I'm okay with that until the shot came out. Once the shot came out, I was like, if I just have to get this shot a couple times and then I'm done, I'm doing it. So I got the shot, but oh my God, I don't know if it's from the skin condition or she put the shot in a stretch mark.
Oh yeah.
Body rejected it. So my doctor, I tried to beg him. He won't give me the shot again. He won't give me another type of shot. He's like, I'm sorry, I'm not risking it.
Yeah.
Just my last appointment last week. And I was like, well, will you be offended if I try to find someone that will give it to me? Like, and he was like, no, not at all. He was like, it's just not worth the risk to me. He was like, I don't know why your body did that, but the infection was way too bad. I'm not doing it again.
Yeah. Do you do the one with a blocker?
It's a Sublocade.
I don't know.
I don't know if it has a blocker or not.
I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, I have no clue, but I can't even give my opinion on the shot because it didn't even get into my body.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was always like, I always tell people like I don't support addiction, I support recovery, and I think that Matt definitely saves lives and stuff. I was just always curious if every doctor you're gonna be on this like long term, like for life, or if they start a tapering process. I never ever asked anybody that.
My doctor has never asked me if I want to taper down. He's asked me if I want to go up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now you got me thinking.
Yeah. Ask about tapering. I mean, if you feel like you need to.
I feel like I want to be done with it, but I'm ready to be off of Suboxone, but I don't know. I haven't even thought about, like, the thought hasn't even crossed my mind, you
Yeah.
know. But I'm sure if I brought it up to my doctor, he would do it.
Yeah.
I was just really hopeful that the shot would have worked and
Yeah.
I'd be done. Hey, Minerva.
Yeah.
They will ask
Occasionally.
occasionally if I've thought about it, and they always say you don't have to do it until you're ready, right? Hey, Jen. I don't know. That was one of my goals when my kids were with my brother was getting off of Suboxone. And I never even considered getting off of it by tapering. I
Yeah.
just considered, by the shot. I was so excited for my kids to come home and see that I'm not on that pill
Yeah.
or that strip that mom takes every day. Like, I was excited for them to see that change, and then it didn't happen. So that was a big letdown. But maybe tapering is something I should consider. I've gone down from 3 a day to 2 a day, not because I'm tapering, just because I was never taking 3 a day. So I told them,
Yeah.
hey, you can just give me 60 this month, not 90.
Well, isn't that would be considered tapering, huh?
I guess it would be, but I mean, I guess it would be. He was just prescribing me more than I actually would ever even take, My husband's tapering, though. He's down to 1 3/4 a day. Like, he's working on it, so maybe I should too. And we see different doctors.
Yeah.
So his doctor is like, bro, we need to get you off of this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I always wondered. I was always curious about that.
Yeah, no. His doctor is very much like, he's new, first of all, like fresh out of school. And my husband's only been seeing him for about 3 months. He was seeing a lady doctor, but then she left and this new guy came in. And Adrian said he's automatically like, all right, here's where you're at. We need to get you down,
Okay, yeah. So trying to do the taper thing.
Yeah, less than 3 months in, he took him down from 2 a day to 1 1/4. So,
Oh, good.
and I don't even think my husband's like trying to taper. I think he just, whatever his doctor says he's going to do. And that's kind of how I am too. Not like, now that you bring it up, I'm not even in control really of my recovery and sobriety. I'm just very comfortable in it. And maybe I need to do something different. And I probably should taper because I don't want to be on this forever. Have I accepted the fact that I probably would? Yes. Do I want to be? No. But that's how I went into it, thinking like I'm going to be on this the rest of my life, because, but really with the pain pills, I could have put them down if it wasn't for the withdrawal. So it's like the Suboxone is just the same thing for me because I can't put it down because of the withdrawal, not because I feel like I have to take it every day. There are days I forget to even take it. So my teeth, I never had a gap. This is from Suboxone.
Oh.
Yeah. I used to never have a gap. I have like orange.
Well, our teeth also shift. If like you have your backs are gone, your teeth will shift.
I just want to get them out and get dentures.
Yeah, Pam, I hear you on that.
In my mind, being on a pill for the rest of my life is much better than, Oh, yeah, for sure. The gap fits you? Aw, thanks. It's so weird. Thank you, Pam. I had to get both top and bottom out and have dentures now because of the subs. Yeah, the subs are so bad. I was literally just like a week off from getting in the lawsuit for the teeth. What happened to that one lady? I can't remember her name. Maya? I don't know, but I hope she's doing well. I exposed a voicemail of her getting caught stealing in Sephora. Then she started selling her used makeup, and then once she ran out, she just quit going live. But I hope she's doing well wherever she's at. I'm going to have to do the same. Are you meaning dentures? These subs are horrible on your teeth.
But, like Pam said, it's better than the alternative,
It is. It's much better. But if I'm going to be real with you, the first time that I ever tried a Suboxone was from my pain pill dealer.
Mm-hmm. Because you can't abuse them if they don't have the blocker.
Yeah. He was like, you're spending way too much money. Like, I see y'all's kids every time you come. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Try this.
Mm-hmm.
My dealer told me I needed to slow down. Like, that's ridiculous.
That's a coming to Jesus moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, I think it's amazing for everybody that's in here. I saw there was a bunch of comments, and for you, I think it's amazing when you find recovery and you're working at recovery. I think that's amazing and something to be celebrated and supported, for sure. But yeah, I would talk to your doctor and see if about tapering, if it's something that you're interested in doing.
I really think I am going to. I hadn't, like, the thought hadn't even crossed my mind. It was like when the shot failed, I just thought, great, I'm going to be on them forever. I really am. Because my doctor absolutely will not. He won't do the Brixadi shot. He won't do any of
Yeah.
them. And I tried telling him, like, I think it's because your nurse went in a stretch mark. Like, please, just try it one more time. And
Yeah.
he won't. But why would she put that shot right in my stretch mark? You can see it. It's right in the middle of it.
Well, you'll have a little bit more like sensitivity, but I mean, if you had an allergic reaction, there was an infection, you also have the sensitive skin because you have the soup, whatever it's fucking called, yeah. So that could
Yeah.
be.
But my HS, like, you can get the shot in the back of your thigh, the back of your arm, or your
Mm-hmm.
stomach. And I don't have any outbreak on my arm,
But you have sensitive skin though.
Yeah.
That's what I was nervous about when I was doing the mochi shot because my body has the audacity to be fucking sensitive and I can't stand it. And so I was worried about getting like the nodule, like the lump.
Mm-hmm.
And so I make sure every time I do the shot, like, I always rub my stomach.
Right. I have sensitive skin, but I don't have a sensitive pain tolerance. I'd accept the pain if it meant I was getting off of it.
So your DOC was downers?
No, my DOC was originally whatever I could put in the needle. I
Oh
got
shit.
addicted to the needle more than anything else, but that was before I was a mother. I thought I was dope sick when I found out I was pregnant with my son. I thought, I didn't for 1 second think that I was sick like that because I was pregnant. And that's how I found out I was pregnant, and I never touched the needle again.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not
But,
awesome that you're sick, or it was, awesome
right.
that you stopped, especially being
Right.
pregnant.
So, I didn't really have. I love uppers. I loved uppers and I loved downers, but basically it was just something about the needle, you know. But yeah, so it wasn't until my husband had not mouth surgery, but he had a tooth removed. And they gave him Norcos, and he's thought his whole life that he was allergic to them. His mom told him he's allergic. And I told him, you're not fucking allergic. Just take it. You're going to feel so much better. And he felt so much better. And when he ran out, we bought more. And we bought more for both of us.
Yeah.
And that's just how it started. After we had kids, So we had taken them so frequently, we had a very easy access to them every single day, multiple times a day. And it was just the fact, once we realized, like, yo, we're spending so much money, we need to quit. we both were ready to quit. Like, fuck
Right.
this, you know. But then we couldn't handle the withdrawal.
Yeah.
So then we started buying our Suboxone off the street. I didn't get into a clinic until I was on TikTok, and that Maya person that they're talking about, she called CPS on me. And when CPS showed up, they asked, am I going to fail for anything? And I said, the only thing that I will fail for is Suboxone. And she said, that's great, but I need to see your script. And I was like, about that?
Yeah.
We don't have a script. And she was like, okay, well, we're going to help you get a doctor. She was like, if that's it, you don't got to worry about your kids going anywhere. So we took the test. Obviously, both of us only fell for Suboxone. And so she did a referral to a doctor for us. I went on the internet and I talked about it. And I used to speak about me taking Suboxone before I was ever in a clinic. I was very open about the fact I was on Suboxone, and I let people just assume I was getting it from a clinic, from a doctor. And a lady reached out to me, and she was like, hey, like, I love that you and your husband are getting sober together. I love y'all's story. Like, if you would, I live in Oklahoma City. I live in Tulsa, but she was like, I own a clinic in Oklahoma City, and I would love it if you would start working with us and be our social media spokesperson for Suboxone Solutions.
Yeah.
Well, she sent me that message long before CPS was ever called. And I didn't reply to her because I didn't want her to know that I wasn't seeing a doctor, you know? So when CPS came, CPS sent the referral, but I reached out to the lady in Oklahoma City, and I was like, hey, if you're real, I actually just had CPS come to my house. I don't have a doctor, but I would love to be the spokesperson for your clinic. And so we got our Suboxone for free and went to that clinic, and all I had to do was talk about it on social media. So that CPS call that Maya did ended up like helping me big time. You know, it was what I needed. So I'm grateful for it and how everything worked out. What, baby? Well, lay in your bed, baby. Yeah. You can lay on the couch if you want. Did you just wake up? Yeah. You can lay on the couch. She just woke up out of her sleep. Have you seen the Big Daddy? I don't know what the hell they're called. Big Daddy chairs. I don't know what it is. My husband just won a raffle at work. Not like a raffle that you have to pay for. Let me be clear. But they put everybody's names in and draw for these prizes, and he got this Big Daddy chair. I don't know what the hell it's called.
Oh, is it like the camping chair, like the pop out chairs?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's what she has claimed now as where she wants to sleep, but she just woke up and said it won't let her put her legs out. Sublocade shots too usually do it and you're done. I know, that's what I want, but my doctor won't do it. I'll have to find somebody else.
Are you still working with that clinic that reached out to you?
No, it ended up not being worth it in the long run because we had an Escalade and driving 2 hours. At one point, we were every 2 weeks. Driving 2 hours there wasn't worth just going to a doctor here and letting the insurance cover it, you know?
Yeah.
So, no, I don't work with her anymore, but I'm so grateful for the opportunity. Plus, they were getting calls constantly about me, and she knew it would happen, you know, but it just became a headache. People accusing me of using and then throwing their name into it really wasn't cool. I don't know why every time someone gets upset with someone that's in recovery, they automatically say you're high, you know. It sucks, but it's an easy thing to target.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've got my karma, because that girl that they're talking, that she asked about, Maya, I used to say she was high all the time, and I believed it in my soul, but it wasn't my place. It really wasn't my place. She could have just been tired, you know, but I would tell people, I literally felt like I'm her karma, and I believed that. And I realize now that is not how karma works, and I am going to get my karma for doing that, you know.
Yep. What you put out is what you get back.
Yeah. Like, I truly believe that what I was doing by calling her out was right, because, and it wasn't, you know. There was a lot. I mean, there's a lot into it, but basically wasn't my place.
Yeah. I feel you. I'm new to the whole minding my business and not saying shit. You know what I mean? I'm new to that. But I will tell you, the past however many weeks I've been doing it, it was a struggle at first, keep my mouth shut. But now it's so peaceful, and it's oh man, I wish I would have done it way sooner.
Right.
And you know, it sucks because I am like, a very open book, and like I'll talk about anything and everything, and we'll have a conversation, but you got to have privacy, and you got to keep some things private, not because you're not an open book, but because some people try to look for any way they can to hit at you. And
Right.
so, now I just that I'm gonna keep shit private, not because I'm scared to talk about it, but because I don't know, man. I'm just tired of every time there's drama. It was always, come from my family and shit, and it's just not worth it at the end of the day. It really isn't. And the messy shit. And I feel like I got a lot more to offer than some quick shit talking.
Right. Right. Pam, that is crazy. Do you see, she said she had a job she loved, but she got accused of being high, and they wouldn't even drug test her. That is not fair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen.
But as someone, I've never been an addict. I think you were in my live that day. I've never been an addict, but I've had family members and people that I love that are addicts, and it's not trying to say this shitty or anything like that, but it's kind of like the burden the cross that you got to bear, and it's just the consequences of your actions. And no, it's not right that you constantly have to be accused of it, but you also have to understand that your previous actions are what now cast that doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. The past is the past, and yep, that is true. But the past is the past, and
that's why you just got to be,
that's why.
confident. Like, not everybody's gonna believe you, not everybody's gonna be cool with you, and you got to be confident knowing, hey, I know the truth, and being right ain't always worth it.
Right. People want to accuse me, but then when I tell them order that hair follicle test, I show up. Nobody wants to do it,
No.
Like, I am willing, but then I see what you're saying too. Like, Courtney, you don't owe everybody that. Let them think what they want.
Yeah.
Is that what you mean? Like, if I were to say, well, order a hair follicle test, is that what you mean by like being quiet and?
Well, no. When you tell them to order a hair follicle test, you're now participating in the back and forth.
Right.
Because now they're gonna be like, "Fuck you! I ain't ordering it. You do it yourself." You know what I mean? Like, you're giving them the back and forth. You're giving them the conversation. And look, I've lost 30 pounds, and and still people try to say that I'm eating like shit and all this other stuff, and I'm just like, all right, like, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna sit here and prove to you, like, how am I gonna prove to you I ain't eating like shit? You know what I mean? Like, we're not gonna put my shit under microscope to look at it. I just gotta let them think whatever the fuck they want to think.
That's true.
Yeah, like someone made a comment on my video. They're like, I can't tell a difference. I said, well, I can. That's enough for me.
I saw the video. I could tell a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge difference. I mean, I like my difference, and I'm gonna keep on going, and hopefully January I'll hit my goal. But if I don't, I know I'll hit it by February or March. I'll hit it eventually.
Yeah.
You just gotta let people say whatever they want to say. Like, hey, oh, they were all talking about I eat Big Macs every motherfucking day. Okay, bitch. Like, okay. I love Big Macs. I can't eat them every day because they make me sick now. But
Really? Is that what the shot does?
yeah, because it slows down your digestion process. So what used to only take an hour to digest is going to take like 4 to 6. So you got to think a Big Mac sitting right there for 4 to 6 hours.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it ain't going to be good. So it does. It like if I eat like shit, I feel like shit.
I was thinking like it. I was thinking that like Suboxone. If you take an opiate, it'll make you sick and throw up. Like
Yeah,
that.
no, it's kind of the same
That
way.
shot was like it feels grease or
Yeah,
fat.
it's kind of the same way for real.
Yeah.
Yeah, like if I eat like shit when I take this shot, I feel like shit. Like I'll be nauseous and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same fucking thing, bitch. Even if I wanted to eat like shit, bitch, I can't. I'm gonna be sick as hell for a couple days.
It's a carb blocker.
Yes, it is. But that's what I'm saying. Like you gotta let people. People are gonna say whatever the fuck they want to say. There was one.
It
You're
said
gonna
I got
find
a
out.
haircut. I wish my husband did this haircut for me months ago. Cause
You're gonna find out about me. I'm full of sayings, but someone attacking your past is like breaking into your old home. You don't live there anymore.
right.
You just fuck it. If you wanna attack me for what I used to be, fuck it. Go ahead. I'm not that same person anymore, so you're not even attacking me.
Right.
GLP-1's quiet the food noise. They are testing it for a rug addiction now. I mean, look, I can see. Listen, body dysmorphia is a real thing,
Very real.
and just seriously, body dysmorphia is a real thing. Like there's sometimes I feel like I still look exactly the same way I did 30 pounds ago.
Impossible.
Yeah, but that's like in my mind, that's all I see. Like body dysmorphia is a real thing. So I told people, I said, shit, if I get too skinny, you better fucking tell me.
Right.
Don't let me get too skinny. And I could see how people, they use a shot and they lose a bunch of weight and they don't know when to stop.
So I wonder if it, like she said, like they're testing it. How often are you supposed to take it? Every week?
Sorry, yeah, once a week.
Huh.
Yeah, once a week. And I don't know, I've been doing pretty good. Like I just now got up to the 3rd level on the dosage, and I make sure I stay on that dosage for as long as I'm losing weight, and then I'll go up, once I plateau. I don't try to jump quick through it. What shot? I'm on a semaglutide compound, a GLP-1.
I'm at a plateau right now with my GLP-1.
Oh, if you're at a plateau, then message them, and as long as you're doing everything else right and you're still plateaued, just message them and tell them that, you've plateaued and they'll increase your dosage.
I'm on Ozempic, but it's different for each kind. So is Ozempic just like a different name brand for GLP-1?
Ozempic is the name brand from Eli Lilly. So I always compare it like when you get acetaminophen, you automatically call it Tylenol.
Right.
Tylenol is not the
Tylenol.
medication name. It's actually acetaminophen.
Right.
But everyone calls it Tylenol because the brand name, that's what's popular. So Ozempic is the brand name.
I'm a max dose, though. I'll have to go to a
Triz.
What's a Triz?
Trizepatide, it's a dual instead of a single. You might need to go to Triz.
Does it cost a lot? Not to be like in your pockets or anything.
No, you're good. I work with the company, so this is what I'm supposed to do.
Okay.
No, the company I go through, it's $99 a month for semaglutide.
That's not bad.
No.
So $99
compared
a month.
To other companies.
Send you 4 shots.
Yeah, it's $99 for the 4 shots, so it's like $25. It's like $25 a week is how it breaks down. Nausea, heartburn, acid reflux, headaches, dehydration. You can get mostly constipation.
Oh.
Yeah, but there's I can't. Oh my god, it's a stomach paralysis. Some people have had that issue. It's very important to recognize your side effects and to talk to your medical provider about those side effects. Um, it- if you're not a candidate for semaglutide, then you're not a candidate, right? Um, you just have to make sure you're watching your side effects, but you also goes back to you can't eat like shit on it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't want to starve yourself. You got to eat your protein because you don't want to lose muscle.
Drink
You got
plenty
to
of
drink
water and
water.
protein.
Yeah.
So it sounds like basically I'm gonna bring Negrita up. You just have like it sounds like when my mom did the bariatric surgery,
Yeah.
like what she needed to do.
Yeah, you gotta make sure you're taking your vitamins, you're drinking water, you're eating protein. You have to weigh out the pros and the cons. That's what I did. And the pros and the cons, like there's side effects to this shot, but there's also side effects to being overweight too.
Right,
It's like when somebody takes phentermine. You could take phentermine all you want and lose your appetite, but if you don't fix your whatever, like if you
Mm-hmm.
don't actually work on losing weight, it's gonna come right back.
Yep.
But
You gotta make healthy lifestyle changes.
I've had patients where they're like, it's not even worth it because they get so sick. They have like,
I think it's worth it.
no, I mean they thought so too. I'm not saying anything bad about it. I'm just saying there are side effects that
Mm-hmm.
they are literally, they say it's not worth it. And I don't know how bad they are, of course, but they come in, they think they have a stomach bug. We do tests, this and that, and it's really just the
Yeah.
shot.
So
Red Bull makes it worse. I wouldn't do it if I couldn't have my Red Bull.
all my side effects that I've had are user errors. Um, I wasn't drinking water, so I got a headache. I was dehydrated. I ate like shit, so I was nauseous. I wasn't taking my vitamins, and it's user error with me. That's when I have my side effects. If I do everything I'm supposed to do, I won't have any side effects.
But
But
if I couldn't have my Red Bull,
everybody's
I don't
different.
think I could do it.
See, and that's where everyone's different. I can still drink soda and I'm okay.
I mean,
Oh
you might
yeah?
as. I mean, I've never heard of anything about Red Bull. I've really never heard of that. You might as well, if you really wanted to try it, just try it, and then if you drink Red Bull and it doesn't work out, then it doesn't work out. People are different with all of the medications. Their bodies react differently.
Yep. Yeah, there's a bunch of, you just gotta look into, I just tell everybody, be very honest with your medical provider. Don't lie. If you're having horrible side effects, don't lie. You know what I mean? Like, that's the worst thing you do. You shouldn't lie to your doctor. Lie to the judge and the police. Don't lie to your doctor.
Right. Lovebird, that's amazing. 267 to 164 since January. I'm trying to figure out what it is going to work best to help me maintain what I lost. Yeah, Onyx. See, so Negrita, have your patients, because I heard I read someone just said that they're testing it for like addiction. The patients that